Chapter 36. He had been practicing the sun and moon transformation for a long time, and he gradually figured out many principles. The sun and moon dragon scales were extremely high-level energy storage. Not only could he not eat, but he could also release them, allowing him to instantly explode with an attack that surpassed his limit. After he was poisoned, he could neutralize the poison and get rid of it, and it could prolong his life. However, in that attack just now, about 1/3 of the sun and moon dragon scales melted and turned into energy. Fortunately, he could save up the heavenly dew in the future, so it wasn't difficult. It seems like the more the sun and moon dragon scales, the better. If I can practice the sun and moon transformation to a higher level, I can hide the sun and moon dragon scales under my skin. But this will take at least 3 to 5 years of hard work. Clipchamp thought. He practiced the Sun of Heaven investiture art. Even without a master, he had to explore it alone, and it was quite difficult. Fortunately, there were bits and pieces of records about this strange art in the history books. He relied on these records and pondered, and his martial arts cultivation gradually matured. It's fine if you don't want to say. Seeing his silence, Lu Baiwa wasn't interested in asking anymore. I have a whole new level of respect for you today. I think you will stand out among the many princes in the future. I was just lucky. Clipchamp furrowed his brows. Just like what the Black Bat said, the evil gods of the barbarians have actually issued such an oracle. Then, the situation in Xian province may deteriorate and get out of hand. If the great plan of the spring expedition is ruined, both you and I will not be able to escape the blame. Everyone in the court will attack us, and even Father will punish us. You're right. This mission isn't going to be optimistic. Lu Baiwa pondered, but the Emperor definitely knows every move of the evil god. Since the Emperor has decided on the plan of plowing the court and sweeping the cave in the beginning of spring, he must have absolute confidence. If the task is not important, why would he give it to me? This is the Emperor's way of training for both of us. That makes sense. Clipchamp suddenly thought of a problem. The one guarding the border of Xian province is third Prince Glyph. I beat up the butler of his mansion, which means I'm one of his men. Will he do something to me? Are you scared now? Lu Baiwa said. Lao San is someone who will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. His cultivation level is far above mine. I think as long as you arrive in Xian province, he will give you a show of strength. He will make you feel disgraced, and you will no longer have the face to complete his majesty's task. I'll deal with whatever comes my way. I'm not someone who's afraid of trouble. Clipchamp naturally knew that the third prince, Glyph, was not someone to be trifled with. Among the many princes, the one with the highest martial arts should be the seventh prince. He was ranked first, and no one could shake him. The first prince, the second prince, and the third prince were all equally matched. The fourth prince was rather mysterious. Even though he had cultivated to the Tao realm, he didn't reveal his strength. He was aloof from worldly affairs and had a quiet personality. He didn't have close relationships with anyone and didn't offend anyone. Send a message to the capital. Tell them that the dark baleful bat has appeared. Ask Lord Baixia to send out the blood iron guards to capture this demon. Lu Baiwa ordered. Yes. Also, contact our Lu family's trading company in Xian province. I will arrange the mission. Yes. Lu Baiwa's orders were sent out one by one. The Lu family's power that had been built for many years was now operating smoothly. Clipchamp could only be envious of them. I'm going to rest for a while. My blood and chi are unstable after the battle with the dark baleful bat. Clipchamp stayed silent for a while and left. Lu Baiwa nodded and didn't say anything else. When he reached the small room on the ship, Clipchamp laid down and covered himself with a blanket. He fell into a deep sleep. In fact, he had already disappeared from the blanket. He had entered the space of the altar. He held the dried grass in his hand and lit it up. He mixed it with the blood essence of the barbarian tribe and used the blood as oil to start the ritual. Heaven above, your subject, Clipchamp, has slain the evil barbarian and protected the order of the world. First, I will offer the blood and soul of the evil barbarian to the heaven. May the heaven have mercy on me and grant me the heavenly dew to cleanse the evil. As his thoughts reverberated in the air, The blood and soul of the barbarian tribe suddenly disappeared. What replaced them was half a drop of crystal-clear dew, bright and light, floating in midair. Only half a drop of heavenly dew. It seems that these barbarians aren't strong enough. They're not as strong as the generals who hunted in Nanshan. Gu Qinsha simply swallowed the half drop of heavenly dew. He felt that was even purer than what Lu Baiwe had obtained. The heavenly dew that Lu Baiwe had obtained was obtained by the ancient Son of Heaven during the ritual. After tens of thousands of years, the medicinal effects had evaporated. After about 10 breaths, Gu Qinsha returned to the blanket. He seemed to have had a dream, but the medicinal effects of the heavenly dew were still circulating in his body. I'll consume all the heavenly dew and use the cultivation method of sun and moon refining and sun and moon transformation to transform all the medicinal effects into sun and moon dragon scales to protect the vital parts. He immediately consumed the 2 drops of heavenly dew that Lu Baiwe had obtained from the exchange and meditated under the blanket to circulate his blood and qi. The qi and blood in his body surged. Under the stimulation of the medicinal effects, it gradually merged into his blood. The blood turned into sun and moon dragon scales, protecting his lower abdomen, chest, crotch, back, and temples. His temples were covered by sideburns, and the sun and moon dragon scales were hidden within, making it hard to notice. This round of cultivation took a full night. The next day, the sky was bright and the sun was high up in the sky. Gu Qinsha woke up from his meditation and felt refreshed. He breathed in and out, coughing out thick and turbid phlegm into the river. His entire body was free of filth. The thick and turbid phlegm was the filth in the air. After the circulation of the blood, he spat it out and absorbed the fresh air. If he was at the Tao realm, he wouldn't be breathing normal air, but spiritual energy. However, there wouldn't be any thick phlegm and filth. He leaped onto the deck and spread out his fists and legs. The wind howled, and he felt that the range of the airways had expanded to 3.5 steps. This meant that within 3.5 steps, all swords and blades would be shaken off. The water in front of him gradually opened up and the mountains got further away. Scattered villages and towns appeared on both sides. The flow of the river became slower, and there were many ships coming and going. It was much more bustling than the night before. This fire shark warship is really fast. It took only a few hours last night to cross the 2,000 miles long gorge in the morning and arrive at the center of the Stone Prefecture, a bustling place. Gu Qinsha retracted his fists and legs. He calmed his breathing and observed the local customs. Your martial arts have improved since last night. Lu Baiyue's voice was heard again. After the Stone Prefecture, we will enter the Xian Prefecture. In the past, it would take a few months to travel by dry road, but with the canal, we can reach it the day after tomorrow. You have to be prepared. I've received news that the Xian Prefecture is indeed rotting. Many places are experiencing civil unrest, and there are even signs of officials being killed. I have to go and pacify it as soon as possible. I originally planned to stay in the provincial capital of the Stone Prefecture for half a day to visit the Shur clan of Marquis Jushur, but I can't do that now. The Shur clan of Marquis Jushur. Only now did Gu Qinsha remember that the most powerful person in the entire border against the barbarians wasn't the third Prince Gu Qinsha, but Marquis Jushur. Marquis Jushur was the trusted aide of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor and had guarded the border for many years. When the Heavenly Talisman Emperor was still a prince, they became sworn brothers and fought for the world. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor opened up the mountains of the Stone Prefecture and transported the mountain rocks to the border to build the Great Stone Wall, was led by Marquis Jushur. It was rumored that Marquis Jushur's father was a boulder in the mountains and his mother was a young girl. She went up the mountain to play and rested next to a boulder. When she woke up, she was pregnant with Marquis Jushur. Because of this, Marquis Jushur was regarded as a monster when he was young and was not accepted by his family. However, he was taken in by a strange person and was taught a divine technique. His cultivation was successful, and he became friends with the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. He helped the Heavenly Talisman Emperor ascend the throne and led the army to resist the barbarians for many years. He revitalized the family and established 1,000 years of meritorious service. Everyone in the court, including Liu Chongxiao, had to respect Marquis Jusher. Marquis Jusher's martial arts were unfathomable, and he had killed countless experts of the barbarians and demonic sections. Many evil gods of the barbarians had sent down divine decrees to kill him, but to no avail. He could be said to be a cornerstone of the court. That's right. With Marquis Jusher in charge, why would there be corruption? Gu Chunsha asked. Could it be the third brother is obstructing the government? The two factions are fighting for power? I remember that the third brother only came to the border 7 years ago to take command of the army. You understand politics. Liu Baiyue's expression was extremely serious. The third brother is very ambitious. 7 years ago, he started to make arrangements at the border, recruiting experts, seizing military power, and sending people to infiltrate the border provinces to fight for power with Marquis Jusher. Marquis Jusher gave face to the emperor and did not argue with the third brother. He gave in every way, causing the political situation at the border to be unstable. Imperial Father should have a clear understanding of these matters. Why did he let it go? Gu Qinsha was puzzled. This is a national matter. The emperor seems to have an agreement with the Fan family. Liu Baiyue sighed. The Fan family's strength cannot be underestimated. They have inherited the teachings of the ancient Buddha and have a treasure that can kill gods. The emperor must use this bow to deal a heavy blow to the evil gods of the barbarians. I know. That treasure is a bow and 2 arrows. The bow is called liberation, and the 2 arrows are called constant and impermanent. If you want to be liberated, you must understand the principle of constant and impermanent. Gu Chunsha recalled the history books. A person, a bow, and 2 arrows form the word Buddha. In other words, whoever obtains the liberation bow and the constant and impermanent arrows will be like Buddha. It seems like you've been studying hard and biding your time, accumulating a lot of knowledge. Liu Baiyue clapped his hands. If that's the case, then you can lend me a helping hand. Now that I've made it clear to you, I'm going to help His Majesty with this errand. You can't drop the ball at this crucial moment. Let's make it clear today. I used to be hostile towards you, but this time, the extermination of the barbarians is related to the safety of the world. You and I must cooperate sincerely. When it's done, I will protect you against the other princes. Don't worry, I know which is more important, the people of the world and my own interests. Gu Chinch's tone was solemn. The barbarians are cruel, and the evil gods have disturbed the way of heaven. If they gain power, the world will be plunged into misery. Even if I have to risk my life, I will do my job well and let the army exterminate the barbarians successfully. I didn't realize that. Liu Baiyue was surprised. You actually care about the world. From your tone, I can feel that you are not lying. You are more magnanimous than the other princes. Those princes only know how to fight for power, expand their influence, and even create chaos in the world. If you keep this heart, it will be good for you. Chapter 37. Xian Prefecture used to be a country, and it was dozens of times larger than Stone Prefecture. The land was flat and fertile, the weather was moderate, and the rivers intersected like a net. The people were brave and aggressive. Logically speaking, Xian Prefecture could have been split into many more prefectures, but due to the initial peace, too many people were killed. If they were to forcefully split the prefecture, it might cause more problems, so it was left behind. When the canal reached Xian Province, the flow of the water became much smoother and more spacious. Like a vast lake, it gave off the feeling that it stretched as far as the eye could see. On the surface of the river, there were hundreds of barges competing with each other. The ships coming and going were densely packed, causing the movement of the Fire Shark warship to slow down. There were government ships, merchant ships, military ships, civilian ships. All of them were transporting supplies from all directions. The war was about to start, and there were many business opportunities. Many merchants wanted to come here to get rich. On the canal, there were many military ships that maintained order. Those ships were all armored ships with iron cannons on them. The black barrels threatened all the criminals. But when the ships saw the Fire Shark ship, they all made way and opened up a path. The Fire Shark ship had a dragon flag on it. It meant that the Imperial envoy was out on patrol and everyone had to avoid it. All of a sudden, a large warship with a royal flag flew towards them. As the warship listened, a small boat shot forward and arrived next to the Fire Shark warship. The people on the small boat then shouted, "On the orders of Prince Fan, we are here to welcome Lord Imperial Envoy. Prince Fan has already prepared a banquet for Lord Imperial Envoy and would like to invite Lord Imperial Envoy to the banquet." Liu Baiwei sat on the boat and listened. "Let Prince Fan's boat guide us. We will meet the local officials. After all, we have to rely on them. Who knows how third brother will show me?" Gu Qinsha didn't smile. He was thinking about how to deal with Gu Fansha. "I don't know his cultivation, but what realm is he at? You definitely have intel." This third prince wasn't someone he could offend. If he offended him to clean up the manor, he would definitely make things difficult for him. Third brother's cultivation is roughly at Tao Realm Transformation 4. He eats metal and rocks, and his organs are like a furnace. Of course, this is only the information on the surface. This person is deep and is definitely hiding his strength. According to my estimation, he might have reached the 5 transformations, the 100 apertures condensing spirit. Liu Baiyue's tone was unhurried, but give me 3 to 5 years and I'll be able to surpass him. The first 5 transformations of the Tao realm were all about cultivating the body. Only when one reached the 6th transformation would one refine Qi into stellar energy and store Sciention stellar energy in one's body. That was completely different, and with a raise of one's hand, one could tear an enemy from 100 steps away. At this level, Gu Qinsha was absolutely no match for him. He also knew that the difference between his strength and this third brother's was too great, so he had to rely on his brain to deal with him. The Fire Shark warship followed Prince Fan's ship to the shore. The dock had already been cleared, and the ground was covered with a scarlet carpet. Officials of all sizes stood on both sides of the dock. With the arrival of the Imperial Envoy, how could the officials of Xian Province dare to neglect him? "Welcome, Lord Imperial Envoy." Seeing Gu Qinsha and Liu Baiwei disembark from the ship, many of the officials knelt on the ground. "Rise," Liu Baiwei said, then ignored these officials and looked at a group of people walking over from afar. The person in the lead was clad in battle armor, a large yellow cloak, and a purple gold crown. He looked to be in his early 20s, but he had a calm bearing, and there was a faint halo around him that made him impervious to all evils. It was the third prince, Gu Qinsha. "Haha, 19th brother, Baiwei, I didn't expect Imperial Father to send you here. I've been paying attention since I received the decree from the upper study, and I heard that you were attacked by the remnants of the Black Demon Bat. Are you all right?" Gu Qinsha walked up to them, his voice full of concern. Those who didn't know the ropes would think that the brothers were in good terms. But Gu Qinsha knew that this third brother hid a dagger behind his smile, and he was the most sinister of them all. His personality was completely different from the 10th brother, Gu Qinsha, and he was even more terrifying. "Thank you for your concern, third brother. I'm fine," Gu Qinsha replied, secretly observing for any abnormalities. "The matter is urgent, so I won't say much. Since Imperial Father sent you here to patrol the area and appease the people, then there's an important matter at hand. I've already set up a banquet. Let's talk while we eat." Gu Qinsha's expression suddenly turned murderous. He really changed his face at a moment's notice. "I think so too." Liu Baiwei didn't seem to care at all and walked forward with large strides. Gu Qinsha maintained his silence and followed at the side. Although he was also an Imperial Envoy, his foundation was shallow. Right now, he just had to stand firm and deal with every move that came his way. He couldn't take the initiative to cause trouble, so he let Liu Baiwei take the lead. Not far from shore was a large and spacious palace. It was surrounded by armored soldiers, and ceremonial music rang out. The scene was quite grand. If it wasn't for the fact that I don't have the status of an Imperial Envoy, I'm afraid that it would be cold and empty, and third brother wouldn't even pay attention to me. With such a grand scene in front of me, third brother has to do it. Otherwise, if the imperial censor, and the people's newspapers criticize me for looking down on the imperial envoy and being disrespectful to the imperial power, my reputation will be greatly damaged. Gu Qinsha sat down, but it was the main seat. He looked at the faces of the many officials below, and he felt a little dizzy. This was the first time he was sitting high up in the imperial court, preparing to discuss matters of state. As far as the eye could see, everyone had ulterior motives and had their own plans. He was a loner, and no one could trust him. Could it be that this is how it feels to be an emperor? Gu Qinsha only felt a little emotional before returning to his senses. He acted as if nothing had happened. He saw that Lu Baiwei was familiar with the place, as if she often gave orders. He knew that she often went out to do business, so she was already at ease. There were 24 provinces in Xian province, and the governors of each province were gathered here. In addition, the generals in charge of the armies of each province were also gathered here. Nowadays, there were canals connecting all the places. Ships could travel 2,000 to 3,000 miles in a day and night, so it was very convenient for the officials to hold meetings in the same province. Everyone, I'm here under the emperor's orders to pacify the local areas and patrol Xian province. This is to ensure that the army will have a stable rear for the upcoming campaign. The imperial court will use the power of the entire country to exterminate the barbarians at the beginning of spring. This is the national policy. Lu Baiwei didn't say anything from the start. She was very sharp, and the atmosphere suddenly became solemn. The officials looked at third prince Gu Qinsha, hoping that he would resolve the situation. Baiwei, there's no need to be in such a hurry. 19th brother is also an important person appointed by imperial father to pacify Xian province. I heard that he has awakened the bloodline of the great spirit god. Then, won't the people of Xian province who believe in the great spirit god worship him like a god? The third prince chuckled and interrupted Lu Baiwei's words. 19th brother, what do you think? I'm inexperienced and have never done a task before. This time, imperial father sent me here only to let me learn. How could I have any opinions? Gu Qinsha quickly waved his hand. I'll listen to Princess Fu Yu's orders. She's the commander-in-chief. He didn't care about the prince's face at all when he said this. If word got out, he would definitely be judged as incompetent. This was something many princes didn't want to do, but he didn't care about such things. He would first let Lu Baiwei handle everything so that he could stand firm. Third Prince Gu Qinsha frowned slightly. His original intention was to use Gu Qinsha's first time out on a mission and his eagerness to perform meritorious deeds to create a rift between Lu Baiwei and him. This way, when the two imperial envoys had different opinions, it would be difficult to create a flaw in his management of Xian province. However, he didn't expect that Gu Qinsha would start to belittle himself and express that he would only follow Lu Baiwei's lead. He wanted to show his incompetence in front of the other officials. This move of retreating in order to advance was flawless. All right, let's talk while eating. Third Prince Gu Qinsha clapped his hands, and a beautiful maid with a graceful figure brought over a plate of fruits. There wasn't any meat. However, the fruits were extraordinary. When they were brought in, the fragrance assailed one's nostrils. Just smelling it would make one feel refreshed. The officials below had 3 dates on their plates. They were the size of a thumb, and they were fiery red as if they were burning. As for Lu Baiwei, Gu Qinsha, and Gu Qinsha, other than the 3 dates, there was also a green peach. The green peach looked like jade, but it was also transparent. One could see a dense mist circulating inside, with purple chi spiraling around it. One didn't even need to look to know that it was not an ordinary item. These are the fire dates and purple-green immortal peaches. Third Prince Gu Qinsha introduced. I broke into a barbarian tribe and destroyed their temple. There are these trees in the temple. The elders of the barbarian temple nurtured them meticulously. One is to worship the gods, and the other is to nurture experts. The fire dates contain fire element spiritual energy. Normal people can use it to train their bones and organs. One is equivalent to 10 years of cultivation. As for the purple-green immortal peaches, they are even more amazing. The purple and green energy within have unbelievable effects. Dao realm experts all flock to them. Guchen Sha didn't stand on ceremony. He picked up the peach and started to eat it. Thank you, third brother. Then, I shall enjoy it first. He had read about the purple-green immortal peaches in books. They were a special product of the wilderness and were extremely rare. They were often worshipped as a god tree by the barbarians. The tree was naturally purple and green, and it could actually absorb spiritual energy like Dao realm experts. When people cultivated under it, they would be nourished by the spiritual energy, and their cultivation speed would be several times faster than normal people. Many barbarian experts comprehended the Tao under the purple-green immortal tree. The purple-green immortal peach was the fruit of the god tree. It bloomed every 30 years, bore fruit after 30 years, and matured after 30 years. This meant that one peach needed 100 years. The barbarians would build temples where the purple-green immortal tree grew. They used the temples to raise the god tree and didn't allow outsiders to get close. As the immortal peach entered his stomach, a stream of energy spiraled through his meridians like a dragon. Gu Chunsha used his will to look inside his body. He found that the green and purple energies were in harmony, tempering his flesh and blood. Third brother wouldn't take such a good thing out easily if it wasn't for this occasion. But I got it. After eating the immortal peach, he ate a fire date. It melted in his mouth as well. Warm energy flowed in and out of his 7 orifices. The officials didn't want to let go of this opportunity. They ate the fire date. Some ate one and hid the other 2 in their pockets to take home. The fire date wasn't an ordinary item. Apart from the rich third prince Gu Fasha, it was difficult for the other officials to eat it. It was something that couldn't be bought with money. The big families wouldn't sell it after obtaining it. Instead, they would use it for themselves or train their disciples. All right, now that everyone has eaten and drunk, it's time to get down to business. Liu Baiwei saw that it was about time and gave the order. The hall immediately became deathly silent. The officials suddenly became nervous. Inspector of Banan Province, come out. Liu Baiwei pointed at an official below her. On the 3rd day of the last month, the Black Fiend cult bewitched the unruly people in Banan Province's Tao County and Cha County. The barbarian spies fanned the flames, causing the 3 counties to decay and become evil cult altars. Thousands of people were killed and sacrificed in this 1 month. As the inspector, why didn't you send an army to exterminate them? This lowly official has been prepared. I've already sent an army to surround the 3 counties to prevent the evil cult from spreading. Inspector Ba Nin didn't seem nervous. He stood and replied, however, there are many experts in the evil cult. This lowly official can't exterminate them in a short time. Why didn't you report the evil cult's rebellion? Are you afraid that the imperial court will find out and dismiss you? Liu Baiyue's voice became increasingly stern. This lowly official has no such intentions. Inspector Ba Nan's tone didn't soften. This lowly official is looking at the big picture. I'm afraid that news of the evil cult's rebellion will spread, and the capital will fall into a panic. This will be detrimental to the imperial court's prestige. This is to maintain stability. A load of nonsense. Liu Baiwei was furious. Inspector Ba Nan, you've neglected your duty and caused hundreds of thousands of people in the 3 counties to be tormented by the evil cult. Do you know that for every day you delay, those people will be slaughtered like chickens and ducks by the evil cult? How could you make light of such a tragic matter? Men, take him down. Wait. Third Prince Gu Fasha shouted in a gloomy voice. Chapter 38. If Liu Baiwei couldn't take down this person, his prestige would be completely gone. Why? Third brother, you want to protect this person? Liu Baiwei couldn't even be bothered to address him as third prince. She had studied in the royal school since young and had always addressed the princes as eldest brother and second brother. Baiwei, this person is still useful. Moreover, he is an imperial inspector of a province. Even an imperial envoy would have to submit a memorial first and wait for imperial father's decree to deal with him. Right now, we still need him to gather rations for the army. If this delays the military affairs, you and 19th brother wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Third Prince Gu Fascia was expressionless, but it was clear that he wanted to protect this person. That Imperial Inspector Ba Nin wasn't the slightest bit afraid and said in a loud voice, "This lowly official still has military affairs to attend to. If Imperial Envoy has nothing else, this lowly official will immediately take his leave and return to gather experts to annihilate the evil cult in the 3 provinces." As he finished speaking, he turned to leave. Lu Baiwei only sneered and took out a token from her bosom. Instantly, a bright light flashed and 4 words appeared on it, as if the Emperor himself is present. Imperial Father. Third Prince Gu Fascia couldn't believe it, but he immediately left his seat and knelt in front of the token. Gu Qinsha was also shocked. He also left his seat and knelt on the ground. All the other officials also knelt down. That rather unyielding Imperial Inspector Ba Nin was paralyzed on the ground, scared out of his wits. Third brother, His Majesty has given me full authority to handle all matters. Now, this order is the decree. Do you dare to defy it? Lu Baiwei asked. This son doesn't dare. Third Prince Gu Fascia knew that this token was equivalent to the presence of Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor. No matter how strong his martial arts were, no matter how much authority he had, he wouldn't dare to act rashly. Imperial Inspector Ba Nin, you are so unruly and committed a grave mistake. I originally wanted to execute you on the spot, but Third Prince pleaded for mercy on your behalf. I will spare your life and allow you to atone for your crimes. Now, listen carefully. You and your subordinates will all listen to 19th Prince Chen's orders. You have a month to annihilate the evil cult. Lu Baiwei changed the topic and actually bypassed Imperial Governor Ba Nin, and he conveniently dragged the ancient sandstorm into it. Such actions were simply like the move of an expert, and it was a diversion that floated indeterminately and gave others an unfathomable feeling. Lu Baiwei still dragged me into the water, not letting me watch the show from the sidelines. Gu Qinsha secretly exclaimed in admiration, but he had no choice but to agree. Not only was this an opportunity to render meritorious service, but was also a good thing that he could exterminate the evil sect barbarians to cultivate their martial arts. Yes. Inspector Ba Nin felt like he had just survived a disaster. This lowly official obeys. At this time, Lu Baiwei took out the token. Her words were equivalent to an imperial edict. It was as if she was here in person. If I can't destroy the cult within a month, I'll definitely kill you. With that, Lu Baiwei put away the token. At this time, Third Prince Gu Vansha, Gu Qinsha, and the other officials stood up. This prince still has military affairs to attend to. If there's anything else, please instruct me. If there's nothing else, this prince will take his leave first. The third Prince Gafasha's face was covered in dirt, and he was too embarrassed to stay any longer. Initially, he wanted to show off his strength to Lu Baiwei, but he was caught off guard. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor would actually hand over the regal himself token to the other party. With this token, he could only be suppressed and didn't dare to disobey orders. Imperial Prince Fan, please go. I want to leave a few officials here to discuss the matter of exterminating the evil sect in Xian Province. It must all be completed within a month to ensure that the army has a stable rear when they fight against the barbarians. Lu Baiwei immediately named 7 to 8 imperial governors. These imperial governors were all obedient and didn't dare to be a thorn in their side. Old 19, this time it's up to you to achieve meritorious service. If you can destroy the cult within a month, I'll definitely give you the highest merit in the report. Lu Baiwei turned to look at Gu Qinsha. Even if I don't have any merit for the cult to harm the people, I'm duty-bound to do it. Gu Qinsha cupped his fists. There's no time to lose. I'll set off immediately. Every word I say will cause more people to die in the hands of the cult. It's a blessing for the people to have such thoughts. Lu Baiwei said, I'll lend you the cold hornless armor and the fiery sword that His Majesty bestowed upon me. With this sword and armor, you'll be able to protect yourself even if you encounter the baleful bats. There's no need. If I rely on treasures to protect myself, I won't be able to truly hone my martial arts. Only when I'm in a life and death situation can I break through to the Tao realm. Gu Qinsha rejected. This time, Liu Baiwei had a whole new level of respect for Gu Qinsha. In that case, I'll wait for your good news. 19th Master, let me tell you about the current situation of the 3 counties. The imperial governor of Banan province hurriedly walked over with trepidation. Head to Banan province right away. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. It took them 14 to 16 hours to reach the provincial capital of Banan province. This provincial capital was also built with huge stones mixed with steel. It was more than 10 zhang tall, and there were iron cannons and ballistae installed on the city walls. The defense was tight, and the people in the city came and went as if they were facing a great enemy. There was no joy at all, and everyone was in a state of fear. However, such a defense could block an army, but it couldn't prevent experts from sneaking in and assassinating them. For example, the baleful bats could come and go without a trace. If one wasn't a Tao realm expert, it would be tough to defend against them. In the governor's manner, the imperial governor complained, 19th Master, I am in a tough spot. The 3 provinces are filled with experts, and I can't do anything about them. I can only use the army to lock them down such that they can't enter the capital. I don't have many experts under me, and they have Tao realm experts. I also have to defend against assassinations, and I can't sleep at night. 19th Master, be careful at night. The situation has already deteriorated to such a state. Gu Qinsha looked at the map on the table. There was also the distribution of troops. Apart from that, there was also information on the 3 counties. The more he looked at it, the more his head hurt. It was really tough to wipe them out. Not only that, but if they attacked and assassinated the generals, many counties would fall instantly. More people would be killed, and the strength of the evil sects would get stronger and stronger. In the end, it would affect the province. If the province fell, then as a prince, he would have no place to stand. If the people in the court attacked him, it wouldn't be surprising if he was sent to jail. Either he didn't take this mission or he would stay out of it. If he didn't do it well and things got out of hand, he would definitely die. Imperial Governor Ba Nan knelt down. 19th Master, save me. If I don't do this well, I will definitely die. Moreover, if the entire province falls, you won't be able to escape the blame. Stop talking nonsense. How many experts do you have now? Gu Qinsha started to count. I only have 2 grandmasters, dozens of martial art grandmasters, and 30 martial warriors. Imperial Governor Ba Nan said, I spent a lot of money to hire those 2 martial art grandmasters. They're just here to protect me and won't join in the fight against the evil sections. As for me, I'm also a martial art grandmaster and can kill 1 or 2 of them. Martial art grandmasters could rely on rich families, and there was no need for them to suck up to an imperial governor. An imperial governor was just an official and would leave after 3 to 5 years. How could he compare to the rich and noble families? As for Tao realm experts, they could absorb spiritual energy, and their need for material resources was greatly reduced. They could even cultivate in the wilderness and were free, so why would they rely on rich families? Unless they had some sort of goal. Moreover, even if Tao realm experts joined the emperor, they would get more than just a state governor. Why would they join a small imperial governor? But it was still okay to have such experts in a province. During normal times, they could suppress any uprising. But now that the evil sects were involved, the barbarians were far from enough. Why didn't Prince Fan personally wipe them out? Gu Qinsha's voice was really strict. His Highness led troops out to attack the barbarian race god temple and had no time to worry about this. When he returned, the situation was already messed up and evil gods were also involved. He was afraid of losing troops, so he didn't do anything and just defended to the death. Once spring arrives and the emperor personally leads the troops, all the monsters will be wiped out. Imperial Governor Ba Nin muttered. So, even third brother isn't confident? Gu Qinsha heard the seriousness of the matter from Imperial Governor Ba Nan's words. What did he mean by being afraid of losing troops? He just wasn't confident. Gu Fansha had many experts under him, and he was above Dao Realm Transformation 4, or even 5. He also had the support of the huge fan family. If he didn't dare to do anything, then what chance did he have? It seems like the evil sects in the 3 counties aren't the only expert. There are even more experts hidden within. Gu Qinsha felt like he had been conned by Lu Baiwei. A heavy pressure surged up, but it didn't make him lose confidence. Instead, he was filled with fighting spirit. He instructed, since that is the case, then your actions aren't overboard. First, you have to defend against the chaos around the city. I will think about it, and also gather experts. Gather experts? Imperial Governor Ba Nan was stunned. He had some intel and knew that Prince 19 was poor. He didn't have a mother and had no power, so how could he gather experts? But thinking about it, the princes were all indiscernible. Prince 19 started to act dumb and suddenly rose up in this half a year. Wasn't he going to shock the world after 10 years of being quiet? To be able to become an imperial governor, his foresight and martial arts skills weren't low. Fighting against Lu Baiwei in the main hall was because he was working for Prince Fan. You can leave. Gu Qinsha waved his hands. What about His Highness's safety? Imperial Governor Ba Nin asked hurriedly. You only have grandmasters under your command. What's the use of being assassinated by the evil sects? You'll die for nothing. There's no need to take any precautions. The assassins will come. I was just about to hone my martial arts. On the way there, I encountered a black demon bat who tried to assassinate me, but I managed to repel him. Gu Qinsha snorted coldly. Leave? Yes. Imperial Governor Ba Nin didn't dare to say more and quietly left. He returned to his study. A few people came in and knelt down. Sir Imperial Governor, what are your orders? Send a messenger eagle to His 3rd Highness about His 19th Highness. His next move will depend on His 3rd Highness's arrangements. Imperial Governor Ba Nin looked worried. The 3 counties have become the evil sect's altar. If His 19th Highness acts rashly, I'm afraid there will be big problems. When that happens, I will inevitably be abandoned. This matter needs to be planned in detail. Gu Qinsha sat in his study. There was no one around. As expected, the guards had been withdrawn. Why isn't Long Yuyin here yet? Logically speaking, she should have received the news by now. He was thinking carefully when his ears suddenly twitched. A fragrance entered his nose. There was another person in the room. It was Long Yuyin. Chapter 39. You're not training yourself. You're courting death. Let's not talk about the divine emissary of the barbarian tribe. Even the black demon bat, 100 poison Taoist, yin-yang scholar, blood soul, sex master. These evil demons are all old monsters who have been famous for 50 to 60 years. They're Dao Realm experts. Long Yiyun's tone was tense. These fiend devils are gathering here to avenge the extermination of the imperial court, and they're also taking this opportunity to ask for rewards from the fiend gods. This is an extremely rare opportunity. Many of the fiend gods were forced by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor to hand over their own benefits to weaken the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. If the world is in chaos, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's power will be weakened and his strength will be affected too. I won't leave. These demons harm the people, and I won't allow them spread. Even if I die in battle, I won't care. Gu Qinsha sighed. Ever since the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, the people of the world have just had a good life. I won't allow anyone to destroy it. Have you made up your mind? Long Yi knew that it was useless to dissuade him. Of course. Gu Qinsha stood up. He was tall and strong-willed. He didn't hesitate at all. Righteousness surged in his chest, and he had no regrets even if he died. Just at this moment, a strong sense of danger surged in his heart. A black shadow appeared on the wall and landed in the courtyard. He stretched out his palm, and the window was turned to dust. The black shadow darted in and opened his palm. Instantly, there was a soul-sucking feeling as he attacked Gu Qinsha and Long Yuyin. Assassination. Black Demon Bat. Gu Qinsha sensed a familiar aura. Who else could it be if it wasn't the old demon? He. There's actually a Dao Realm expert. Unfortunately, it is just a transformation. Evil God will be really happy if we capture him and sacrifice him. He will give me more God power. Black Demon Bat said in a low voice. especially you, the son of the heavenly talisman emperor. Capturing you will give you more Tao realm experts. The evil god knows many of the heavenly talisman emperor's secrets with your bloodline and soul. So just die. His voice didn't come out, but it was an evil technique. It was a soul-sucking voice and a martial Tao aura attack that made people dizzy. Azure Dragon storms the seas. Long Yun spread her hands apart, forming the shape of a dragon and the shape of a tide. She executed her consummate technique, Azure Dragon wreaking havoc in the sea, blocking the baleful black bats, first to prevent them from harming Guchen Sha. Courting death. After all, the baleful demon bat was a second transformation realm expert with immense strength. His palm strike was like 9 bulls and 2 tigers, and the air crackled. Within 10 steps, the vibration of the air could break blades and swords. Bang! Long Yun was knocked back by the palm strike. Her blood and chi were in turmoil, and she was seeing stars. Her internal organs were slightly damaged. Although the baleful bat was stopped, its might did not diminish, and it still pounced towards Guchen Sha. The refinement of the sun and moon is like a furnace. The changes of the sun and moon melt everything. At that moment, flames seemed to burn on Guchen's body. A large number of the sun and moon dragon scales turned into kinetic energy in that instant. At that moment, he no longer concealed his true martial arts, nor did he use the mighty soul technique. Instead, he used the refinement of the sun and moon from the orthodox sun of heaven's god-sealing art. The sun-moon transformation fist technique. This fist technique consumed a large amount of energy, but the purple-green immortal peaches, fire jujubes, and heavenly dew that Guchen Sha had eaten had all been turned into sun and moon dragon scales, all for the sake of dealing a fatal blow at a critical moment. When he had fought with the baleful black bats on the boat, he had used the Star Striker, Void Piercer, and Demon Extermination of the Great Spirit God Spear. He had even taken advantage of the time when the baleful demon bat was fighting Lu Baiwe to injure the baleful black bat. Now that the baleful black bat had come again, he would definitely be prepared. However, he had never expected that Guchen's trump card would be the son of heaven's god-sealing art. When this technique was truly activated, it was 10 times stronger than the Great Spirit God technique. Wang, a look of surprise appeared on Long Yun's face. In her eyes, Guchen's entire body seemed to be illuminating the sun and moon, shining with boundless brilliance. Even she couldn't suppress his aura. In reality, Guchen Sha wasn't releasing any blinding light. It was just his martial arts aura. Originally, his martial arts aura could not create illusions for Tao realm experts. However, the Son of Heaven's God-sealing art was too strong. With the heavenly Tao general principles, it was not difficult for him to challenge those of a higher realm. Whoosh! Guchen's body twisted to the limit. He used the sun and moon transformation to dodge the baleful black bat's attack. Then his fists alternated with the sun and moon, circulating endlessly. In that instant, time froze. He ruthlessly smashed towards the baleful black bat's back. Not good. The baleful black bat was enveloped in fear. It could almost see the shadow of death flying over. Why? Why can he use such an attack? What kind of technique is this? Even his soul was shocked by this attack. This was the natural fear of the Son of Heaven's God-sealing art. The Son of Heaven's Tao represented the present. It was the strongest power in the world. It represented civilization and order. Baleful black demon god, evil flames fill the sky. The bat has 6 wings and comes out of the darkness. The baleful black bat's mind went crazy. He twisted his body in a form that did not belong to a human. He waved his palms like 6 wings. Pung, 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 continuous attacks. Shock waves rumbled in the room, tearing apart many furniture. A long sword suddenly appeared in Long Yuyun's hand. The sword was dull and heavy. It was actually a sword made of bones. The sword in her hand was like an illusion. With a light shake, the sky was filled with sword shadows. It stabbed into the baleful black bat's palm shadows. The baleful black bat let out a mournful cry. dragon bone sword. He jumped out of the window like a giant bat. He leaped onto the wall and left quickly. Chase. Blood appeared on Long Yuyun's sword. The baleful black bat's meridians and acupoints were injured by my dragon bone sword. This is the best opportunity to kill him. If we kill him, even if we lose the entire Banan province, it will be a great contribution. Gu Qinsha spat out a mouthful of blood. Although he managed to restrain the baleful black bat with his counterattack, he was still injured because of the huge difference in strength. If not for Long Yuyun's dragon bone sword, he might not be a match for the baleful black bat. However, his injuries were only internal injuries. He could recover quickly after digesting the sun and moon dragon scales. Chase. Of course, he would not let the baleful black bat go. This demon had to be killed. Who knew how much heavenly dew they could obtain by sacrificing it? It would also be a great threat to the people. Without hesitation, the two of them chased after the baleful black bat. The baleful black bat is extremely powerful. If not for the dragon bone sword, the two of us would have been killed by him. Long Yuyun still had lingering fear. The dragon bone sword was obtained by the founder of Dragon Sword Island. He carved a formation on it and nurtured it with spiritual qi. It has been passed down from generation to generation until now. This sword is extremely powerful and has a spiritual nature. It can be controlled by a person's will and slash people dozens of miles away. Dragon Sword Island's fame is all because of this sword. An introduction appeared in the depths of Gu Qinsha's mind. The dragon bone sword was a true treasure. With this sword, Long Yuyun's lethality would increase by several times, even tenfold, and she could fight against the baleful black bat. Dragon Sword Island really does have a rich foundation. It's many times stronger than an impoverished place like the Black Fiend Bats. Gu Qinsha thought to himself as he gave chase. It's very likely that this Long Yuyun has other hidden cards up her sleeves. His muscles moved once more to digest the sun and moon dragon scales on his body. Instantly, his injuries were all healed up. The more one cultivated the sun and moon transformation, the more changes one's body would have. One's recovery ability was no weaker than that of a Dao Realm expert. Dao Realm experts absorb spiritual energy to heal their injuries. Sun and moon transformation required them to consume treasures to refine the spiritual energy within, turning it into higher-grade sun and moon dragon scales. The three of them were as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, they were out of Baton Province. Although the defenses were tight and there were many soldiers, there were no true experts. It was easy for a Dao Realm expert to sneak in and out. Of course, if a Dao Realm expert wanted to attack the city and fight the army, it would be dangerous. They might be surrounded and it would be like ants biting an elephant to death. Dao Realm experts were still weak at the second transformation. Only when they reached the third transformation would they be able to block most of the damage. If the Black Ghost Bat reached the third transformation, then Long Yuyun and Gu Qinsha wouldn't have a chance at all. The Black Ghost Bat's forte was speed, but he was stabbed by the Dragon Bone Sword. The Dragon Bone Sword contained 10,000-year true dragon and earth, fire, and ice energy. Just a slight stab caused the sword energy to spiral around his body. It was as if he was being tortured in ice and flames, and it was tough for him to move. He had originally wanted to capture Gu Qinsha and sacrifice him to the evil god, but he hadn't expected Long Yuyun to also be present. He had suffered greatly, and now he wanted to quickly leave, capture the commoners to sacrifice and heal his injuries. Outside of the city, after going around the main road, there was a forest. The Black Ghost Bat dashed in. Dragon Bone God might go. Long Yuyun suddenly sliced her finger and smeared fresh blood on the sword. The sword gave out a low dragon roar and trembled. It flew out towards the Black Ghost Bat. Flying sword. This was the first time Gu Qinsha had seen such a thing, and he exclaimed about the wonders of creation. What is this? I heard that Xian Chao princess, who is your mother, married the Heaven Talisman Emperor, and she brought 3 treasures. The Great Spirit God Ring, Anti-Demon Robe, and Law-Breaking Celestial Sword. Out of them, the law-breaking celestial sword is much stronger than my dragonbone sword. Long Yuyun said, "Did you not get any of them?" Damn! Guqinsha was furious. The Great Spirit God Ring fell into the hands of the Crown Prince. The anti-demon robe fell into the hands of the Empress, and the law-breaking celestial sword was in the hands of the Seventh Prince. As for the other treasures, the second and third princes all took some. As the Xianchao princess, she had a lot of dowries. This was because the Xianchao imperial family wanted her to gain a foothold in the palace and give birth to a son in an attempt to seize power and solve the Xianchao Empire's crisis. In the forest, the dragonbone sword had caught up to the black ghost bat. A black hook appeared in the bat's hand to block the dragonbone sword. The dragonbone sword was really sharp, and even if he cultivated to the third transformation, he wouldn't be able to block it easily. He could only use his weapon to fight it. Chapter 40. Guqinsha aimed at the weakness of the bat. His hands were as quick as lightning, and he struck the fatal acupoints around his body. Even though Liu Baiwei and Long Yuyun had been the main combatants on both occasions, and he had only provided support, he had still gained quite a bit of life-or-death combat experience. As a result, his martial arts had become more and more refined, and he had gained new insights into some things that he hadn't understood in the past. Of course, such comprehension wasn't enough for him to advance to Dao Realm. He needed more actual combat experience. "Kid, this time, it's either you die or I die." The demon bat's meridians were pierced by the dragonbone sword. His strength was greatly reduced, but his ferocious nature became even more intense. The pitch-black hook in his hand swung out a hook shadow, deflecting the dragonbone sword. Then, he slashed down from the sky. His aura was like a giant mouth of an abyss, wanting to swallow Gudusha. This demon's speed and strength have decreased by a lot. Guqinsha had Long Yuyun to restrict him, so he wasn't worried about getting injured. He saw the weakness right away and actually didn't care about the black hook. He stretched out his palm and used the dragon claw to dig at his heart. This dragon was the Sun-Moon dragon form of the Sun-Moon transformation. Sun-Moon transformation could mimic tens of thousands of moves, but the strongest one was the Sun-Moon dragon claw. His claw shadow changed and actually formed layers of strength. Pooh! Guqinsha's claw broke through the defense of the bat and actually stabbed in, seeping into his flesh. However, Long Yuyun had managed to block the baleful bat's long hook. Guqinsha's move was really dangerous. If Long Yuyun didn't block it for him, he would have been sliced in half. This was a suicidal strike. If he didn't use such a dangerous move, he wouldn't have been able to injure the bat at all. The bat was injured many times, but he was still fighting like a trapped beast. He hollered, and the muscles on his chest contracted. Instantly, Guqinsha's claw couldn't reach in. The flesh turned into a wriggling python that was about to tear his hand apart. Is Dao Realm transformation too so strong? I don't believe it. Only then did Guqinsha sense how strong Dao Realm was. He hollered, and his arm shook once more. All his strength surged out, and he used all his skills to rip the bat apart. Dragon Sword Unification. At this time, Long Yuyun held the dragon bone sword in her hand and concentrated all of her essence, chi, and soul into the sword. She suddenly stabbed at the black demon bat's forehead. Black, baleful demon hand. The bat abandoned its hook and grabbed the dragon bone sword, preventing it from piercing its glabella. He was simply an undying evil god who had resolved many fatal situations. Grabbing the dragon bone sword. Do you think that you have cultivated the Dao Realm 9 transformation, glass jade body? Long Yuyun shook the dragonbone sword in her hand. The dragonbone sword emitted a tremendous force that actually surpassed the strength of 9 bulls and 2 tigers. This was the strength of the sword itself. Bang! The demonic black bat's palm exploded into a bloody mess. The sword force entered again and finally hit the space between his eyebrows. Good chance. When Guqinsha saw the black demon bat's aura weakening, he reached out with his palm and grabbed the bat's heart. His thoughts connected to the sacrificial space. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The blood, essence, and soul of the black demon bat were suddenly absorbed by the sacrificial space. They floated above the sacrificial space, issuing ghostly wails and howls. What a strong blood and soul! This black demon bat's soul even has an unbelievably evil and strong intent. This is the intent of the evil god. Gu Chunsha observed and realized that deep within the bat's soul, there seemed to be a giant evil god sitting on a white bone throne. There were mountains of corpses and oceans of blood everywhere. Just the sacrifice of the black demon bat's soul alone was a huge amount of heaven due. There was also the intent of the evil god within, which was limitless. He died just like that. Long Yuyun's sword stabbed a hole in the bat's head. She retracted it in confusion. Was his soul taken away by the evil god when he died? Why didn't I sense the smell of his soul dissipating? Maybe. Legend has it that once people who believe in evil gods die, their souls will become nourishment for the evil god. Naturally, Gu Qinsha wouldn't reveal the secret. Long Yiyun didn't mind. She searched the bat's body and suddenly took out a dark gold gourd. After opening it, there was actually a flowing light within. As expected, it really is the God Maha pill. The God Maha pill is the pill obtained by worshipping the king of the evil god, the god of Maha. Rumor has it that this pill is a treasure of the evil Tao. I don't know what its effects are. Gu Qinsha recalled the books he had read. This pill is extremely rare. How many people did the black demon bat kill to obtain this treasure? Long Yuyun put it away and kept it for herself. I'm going to use the exorcism formation of Dragon Sword Island to gather the power of the sun and moon to dispel the evil chi in the pill. After I consume it, I'll have hope of breaking through to the second or even third transformation realm. As she spoke, she looked at Gu Qinsha's expression. Gu Qinsha didn't object to her obtaining the pill. He just squatted down and continued searching. Suddenly, he took out a bag from the black demon bat's chest. The bag was shining with golden light. It was a scroll. Why does it feel like the Emperor's aura? Gu Qinsha found it familiar. He opened the scroll. Instantly, there was a golden dragon embroidered on it. It was extremely ferocious, and there was a seal on it. The seal had the ancient words, "Great Might Heavenly Dragon." Then, there was a conferring document. The general idea was to confer the title of Duke on the Black Demon Bat. This is something from the Great Wei dynasty. Long Yiyun was shocked. Why would it appear here? And confer a title on the Black Demon Bat? I only remember hearing from the elders of the Long family that 100 years ago, the Great Wei dynasty had sent envoys to the various overseas countries. They had also conferred titles and wanted the various countries to join the Great Wei dynasty. However, no one cared, and the envoys returned. The Great Wei dynasty was very far away from the various overseas countries. An expert who could fly 10,000 miles in a day would need to fly continuously for dozens of years to reach it. This kind of distance was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Hence, there would be no interaction at all. Now that the imperial edict of the Great Wei dynasty had appeared on the Black Demon Bat, this matter was rather interesting. Could it be that the dynasty that was billions of miles away had also interfered in the war between the Great Yonko and the barbarians? And they were even helping the barbarians? It was not strange for the imperial edict of the Great Wei dynasty to have the aura of the Son of Heaven on it. In the faraway continent, this dynasty ruled over countless people. The people there acknowledged the laws of this dynasty, and as time went by, it was natural for them to nurture the aura of the Son of Heaven. This is good stuff. The Black Demon Bat has really given me a pleasant surprise. Gu Qinsha was overjoyed. He kept the imperial edict. When he returned and made a secret sacrifice, he would definitely receive benefits. In this bag, other than the imperial edict, there was also a black demon scripture. There were many evil martial arts recorded in it, as well as methods to communicate with the evil god. This black demon scripture is a royal grade martial art, and it is also very valuable. The black demon god was a powerful demon. He was not even a god, but he called himself a god. He was sealed or killed by the heavenly talisman emperor, so the methods to communicate with him were no longer effective. It was also because of this that the black demon bat benefited from this disaster and escaped the control of the black demon god. Long Yuyun was disdainful of this scripture. Gu Qinsha took a look, memorized the martial arts, and kept it, handing over the black demon bat, and this demon scripture will be a great merit. Do you want a share of the credit? It will allow your Dragon Sword Island to gain status. Forget it. Back then, my Dragon Sword Island didn't even want the title of nobility. Now that the first prince has taken over, the credit will still go to you. Long Yuyun said, "That's fine." Gu Qinsha thought about it. It was better for Long Yuyun to hide in the dark. Moreover, she was only cooperating with him. Immediately, Gu Qinsha searched again, but he did not find anything valuable on the black demon bat. Hence, he grabbed the corpse and left. "I'll go scout for information. If there's anything, I'll look for you." Long Yuyun left with a few leaps. In a mansion, Inspector Ba Nan and many experts surrounded the black demon bat's corpse. Gu Qinsha sat on the seat of honor, resting with his eyes closed. "Lord Inspector, this demon is indeed the old devil, the black demon bat." A Grandmaster said, "Did the 19th Highness really kill him? The corpse is here, and so is his demon scripture. Could it be that he committed suicide?" Gu Qinsha laughed coldly. "I'll write a memorial myself and send it out overnight. Of course, the credit for killing this demon will also go to you. I dare not take credit." Inspector Ba Nan hurriedly knelt down. "The 19th Lord's martial arts are unparalleled. It has nothing to do with me. Send the corpse and the demon scripture to the imperial court as evidence." Gu Qinsha instructed, "This black demon bat was a Dao realm expert. Send the corpse to the Heavenly Craft Institute's medical department for research. It will benefit us greatly. He killed countless people. If we can use his corpse to research a way to save people, it will make up for some of our mistakes." "Yes, you may leave." "Yes." Only Gu Qinsha was left in the empty room. He disappeared in a flash and entered the altar. He lit up the grass and started to sacrifice the black demon bat's soul and blood. But on the altar, a piercing green light appeared. The black demon bat's soul instantly entered the heavenly Tao. The evil gods will struggle bitterly and chanted evil spells. "What is this? It actually wants to devour my will." Gu Qinsha heard the evil gods will roar in anger, but there was nothing he could do. Bang! Suddenly, the evil gods will exploded and was devoured by the heavenly Tao. Then hundreds of drops of heavenly dew floated above the altar. There are actually more than 100 drops. Gu Qinsha was overjoyed. He hurriedly took the gourd and collected it. However, he did not bring it out and just placed it in the altar space. This space also had the ability to store things. Then, he took out the Great Wei Dynasty's imperial edict and offered it again. Bang! The imperial edict burned and instantly turned clean. The emperor's energy within was swallowed by the heavenly Tao. This time, the altar didn't change, and the emperor's god sealing technique appeared in the space. Sun and Moonshine third stance. Sun and Moon kill. This is a move to kill and destroy. The annihilation of Sun and Moon appeared. This was a pure killing move. It was a combination of one's will, one's chi and blood, one's movements, and one's posture, all of them fusing with the Sun and Moon. In the end, the Sun fell and the Moon sank. This was the true killing move of the Sun and Moon shine together, the most powerful attack. Sun and Moon refinement trained energy to gather the spirit. Although it had moves and was really strong, in terms of pure killing power, Sun and Moon kill far exceeded it. Sun and Moon refinement and Sun and Moon transformation were good for cultivating. They could increase cultivation and train the soul. But Sun and Moon kill was different. One couldn't use it easily, and once one used it, one would definitely harm one's body. Okay, with Sun and Moon kill, I have a killing move. It won't be hard to kill a Dao realm transformation realm expert. Gu Qinsha planned to himself. Chapter 41. A maidservant reported to Lu Baiwei. "I have my own plans. Gu Chansha and the small Banan province will definitely die a horrible death if they fight against the evil cults in the three counties. But don't forget that he is of the royal bloodline of the Xian dynasty. He has also activated the bloodline of the great spirit god. To the evil remnants of the Xian dynasty, he is a precious seed. Only when he is in danger will the experts of the evil remnants of the Xian dynasty appear to save him. Lu Baiwei said confidently, "If that Grand Preceptor Wenhong appears, we can use him to kill the oracle of the barbarian race. If Grand Preceptor Wenhong appears, I'm afraid the princess will also be in danger." This maidservant knew a lot of secrets and was a true maidservant. Her martial arts were actually at the Grandmaster realm. Her eyes were like lightning, and there was a faint green aura around her face. Her 5 fingers were like ivory and had a soft luster, but they contained a terrifying killing power. I heard that when Hong has long mastered the myriad stars of flying celestial art, I'm afraid he has already cultivated the undying body. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to escape from the emperor. If not for him, the Xian dynasty would have long been destroyed. He is no match for the emperor. There is no need to worry. Lu Baiwei looked at the sky. The emperor's cultivation has long surpassed the 36 transformations. The evil gods are just struggling bitterly. The maidservant didn't say anything and just remained silent. Miaoxiang, Yu Yuxiang, Diexiang, Lanxiang, Yunxiang, Shixiang, Luoxiang, Shuexiang, Meixiang, and Xixiang are my true confidants. You are also the people that I have truly cultivated. In the future, you can't marry anyone and can only follow me. Do you regret it? Lu Baiwei suddenly asked. This is the good fortune that I have cultivated for God knows how many lives. Miaoxiang hurriedly knelt down. I can follow the princess and cultivate Tao. In the future, I will be free and unfettered. I will be a dragon among men and have control over power. I will never grow old, and there is even hope for immortality. How can a mere love between a man and a woman compare to that? It's good that you have such thoughts. Lu Baiwei stood up and said, "The 10 of you have cultivated the 10 extremities desolation Tao. Each of you have mastered one extremity, and when you combine them, your power will increase by 1,000 times. This was passed down to me by His Majesty. It is said that in the ancient times of the Land of Infinity, there were 10 emperors, and each of them had mastered the extremity of the heavens. If the 10 emperors could combine, they would be able to change certain rules. Of course, that is just a rumor. But if the 10 of you work together, you can definitely kill a Tao realm transformation 1 expert. You must work hard and don't slack off at all." Yes. At this time, another maidservant came in. It was Yu Xiang. She held the report in her hand and knelt down to present it with both hands. "Your Highness, something big has happened. The 19th prince was assassinated by the Black Demon Bat in Banan province. After that, he killed the Black Demon Bat. The corpse and the devil scripture on it have been transported here. After many tests, there are no mistakes." "Is that so?" Lu Baiwei took the report and read it carefully. She didn't want to miss a single word. After a while, she put it down and smiled. "This is really interesting. The Black Demon Bat has been roaming the land for 50 to 60 years and has committed many evil deeds. To think that he would actually kill it in such a mysterious way. Are the remnants of the Xian dynasty helping him?" Yu Xiang tried to probe. "No, if the remnants of the Xian dynasty do anything, I will have information on my side. It seems like other experts are helping him. This means that he has recruited other experts. Maybe they're supporting him and he wants to make use of the 19th prince's power to get some benefits. Go and investigate," Lu Baiwei ordered. "Where should we start?" Miao Xiang asked. "Start from his residence in the capital city. I heard that there have been many martial warriors, martial masters, and even grandmasters seeking refuge in his residence. That little godson's martial arts have also improved tremendously. Who are those people?" Lu Baiwei started a plan. "I have investigated this matter before. However, the 19th prince's residence is very organized, and many spies have been found. I have tried to bribe the martial warriors in the residence, but they are all quiet and simple. Apart from eating, drinking, and practicing martial arts, they don't have any emotions. It's like they have been trained since they were young. Miao Xiang reported. It seems like he has the support of at least a few hundred years of history. To train these kinds of martial warriors is not something that can be done in a day. They have at least a few hundred years of history. A smile appeared on Lu Baiyue's face. This is getting more and more interesting. I have something to report. Speak. The 10th prince, Gu Jinsha, succeeded in breaking through to the Dao realm 2 days ago. His strength has increased tremendously. He wrote a letter to the imperial court saying that he is willing to come to Xian Prefecture to gain merits and gain the title of duke. The emperor has agreed, and he is on his way. However, he is not an imperial envoy. He is only assisting the 3rd prince, Prince Fan. Oh, he actually broke through? So fast. This is out of my expectations. When there are many things happening in the world, dragons and snakes will come out of the water. The muddy waters of Xian Prefecture also contain opportunities. We have to grasp them well. Lu Baiyue flicked her finger, and a jade bottle flew out from her sleeve. It landed in Miao Xiang's hand. There are 10 drops of heavenly dew in this bottle, 1 for each of you. Cultivate well. When all 10 of you reach the Dao realm, you can go search for the 10 Emperor's treasure. If you are fated to obtain it, you will reach the heavens in a single step. Thank you, Princess. The 2 girls knelt and kowtowed. Capital Imperial Palace, Upper Study. 8 ministers were handling government affairs. Memorials from various provinces were sent in like flowing water. The ministers of the upper study could make decisions on small matters, but when it came to big matters, such as the appointment and dismissal of officials, the execution of executions, the mobilization of troops, rewards for meritorious officials, disaster relief, repairing roads and rivers, and the overseas countries, they had to be written down and reported to the emperor. Apart from these 8 ministers, there were also 2 princes who assisted in the government affairs. This was a great honor, and it represented the emperor's trust in his sons. One of them was naturally the 7th prince, Gu Fasha, and the other was the 4th prince, Gu Huasha. The 7th prince was the emperor's son, and his cultivation was the highest. Although he wasn't the crown prince, he had the power. Although the 4th prince didn't care about fame and fortune and didn't care about anything, he had reached the Dao realm long ago and was promoted to the upper study by the Heaven Talisman Emperor. However, he didn't speak much and just quietly did some unimportant things. Now, he was just copying and writing. It seemed like he didn't stop, but in truth, he was killing time. He had always been like that, and the other ministers didn't care about him. Duke Yuan, take a look at this document. It came from Xianzhou Banan Province. The 19th Highness, Duke Chun, personally killed the old demon, Black Bat. After the corpse and demonic scripture were examined, it was sent 3,000 miles to the capital. The experts from the Celestial Craft Institute went over to check it. It was the corpse of a 9 bulls and 2 tigers Dao Realm expert. There's also the autopsy report here. A minister placed the document down. This minister had white hair and a gentle face. He gave off a scholarly aura, and one didn't need to look to know that he was a scholar who had studied for his entire life. His words and actions were followed by rules and etiquette. Teacher Zhu, thank you. Although Lu Chongxiao was shocked, he maintained his composure. The minister in front of him was called Zhu Sha, and he was a Confucian. He was his teacher and had many disciples in the dynasty. He was respected by a few princes and didn't dare to be rude in front of him. He carefully took a look and then passed it to the other ministers. After everyone looked at it, they passed it to Gafasha. I didn't expect the 19th prince to have done so much. 7th Prince Gafasha was expressionless. Black Bat has been causing trouble for many years. Not only that, but he has also joined the barbarian race and killed our officials and people to build the evil god altar. Even if other experts kill him, they will be rewarded with a title. He will definitely become a count. What do all of you think? This is a reward based on merit, so His Majesty has to decide. Another minister said. This minister was also an old man, but he was the Minister of Literature. This concerns the 19th Highness, so he can't speak nonsense. Minister of Literature is right. Minister Liang Tao agreed. Liang Tao was the representative of the clear stream in the imperial court. He had many disciples and was the teacher of the princes. He had even been punished by Clipchamp. He was secretly shocked. The 19th prince was still pretending to be crazy half a year ago. I didn't expect him to amaze the world with a single feat. Such a change is incomprehensible. If we can rope them into our clear stream sect, it will be very promising. The ministers of the high stream study were also divided into a few factions. They fought with each other, but it was not rare in the imperial court. Liang Tao's clear stream faction had a huge conflict with Lu Chongxiao's radical military faction. Fourth brother, what do you think? Glyph asked Gu Huasha, who was busy writing. How did the 19th prince improve so quickly? I will ask him in detail when he returns to the capital. Fourth Prince Gu Huasha didn't answer the question. Glyph smiled and didn't ask anymore. He knew that the fourth didn't like to meddle in other people's business. He had a deep personality and a deep background. Asking him anything would be useless. Father is in closed-door cultivation. The affairs of the court can be decided by the ministers of the high stream study. But I suggest that the 19th prince, this matter is not urgent. Let's put it aside for now and record the merits. When Father comes out of closed-door cultivation, we can report it together. I believe Father will definitely reward us. Glyph made the decision. There's one more thing. The 10th Highness has already brought his family warriors and 1,000 soldiers to Xian Prefecture. Along the way, he sent a memorial saying that the weapons and armors of the soldiers are insufficient. He wants the Ministry of War to transfer 1,000 sets of horned dragon armor, 1,000 sets of fire talisman spears, and 100,000 fire talisman bullets. A young minister reported. This young minister wasn't even 30 years old, but he was resolute and decisive. His footsteps were steady, and his cultivation was profound. He was a talented young man, personally selected by Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor from the Imperial examinations. His name was Fong Lin. He was first-rate in terms of talent and handling affairs. More importantly, he was from a poor family. His family was ordinary, but he became a minister of the high stream study at such a young age. Many people were jealous of him. However, he was cautious and handled his relationships flawlessly. After a few years, no one had any evidence against him, and he gradually gained a foothold in the imperial court. Chapter 42. What kind of person was Lu Chongxiao? He could tell Gu Jinsha's intentions with just one look. If he said it out loud in such an occasion, he would definitely offend the 10th prince. However, he was expressing goodwill towards the 7th prince. Originally, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had already offended the 7th prince when he allowed Lu Baiyue to get close to Gu Jinsha. Although the 7th prince didn't say it out loud, he must have many thoughts in his heart. Lu Chongxiao had always wanted to ease the tension between them, and he made use of this opportunity to express his stance. Duke Yuan is right. However, I can't give him what he wants even if I want to. We can only talk about this after Father Emperor comes out of seclusion. The 7th prince, Gu Fasha, laughed. Isn't the servant in my residence, called Fani, the governor of Fen Prefecture? He brought me a few jars of ancient wine when he went to report on his work. He said that it was dug out from the ground after destroying a temple. It has been buried for thousands of years. When you're done with your duties, you can come to my residence for a drink or two. Thank you, Your Highness. Lu Chongxiao knew that Gu Fasha was grateful. He was a smart person and had no reason to make a strong enemy out of him. The other officials pretended not to see anything. It was a taboo for the princes to make friends with the officials. However, the Emperor of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor encouraged it. Therefore, it wasn't a taboo. At that moment, the officials in the study room were dealing with all sorts of complicated political affairs. In the backyard of the inspector's office in Banan province, Gu Jinsha was cultivating with his eyes closed. His qi and blood were circulating smoothly in his body. He could control them as he wished. He followed the sun and moon training technique and circulated his qi and blood to massage the secret meridians in his body. If he were to take off his clothes now, he would notice that his entire body was covered in red spots formed by his qi and blood. There were many acupoints and secret meridians in the human body. If one trained for a long time, protected them with their mind and chi and blood, they would be able to unleash extraordinary abilities. Every martial art had such a secret technique. For example, the technique of the Great Spirit God had hundreds of secret meridians that could stimulate one's chi and blood. It could allow one to become extremely strong and have a long life. However, compared to the sun and moon refinement technique, the Great Spirit God technique was like a child playing with mud. The sun and moon refining art introduced that there were 3,600 secret meridians in the body, which corresponded to the number of heavenly cycles. Besides that, the meditation method and the method to stimulate chi and blood were unparalleled in the world. Right now, Gu Chunsha was sitting still, but in fact he was using his mind to condense chi and blood. Subconsciously, he was transforming the essence of the sun and moon into the divine light of the sun and moon, which he used to acupuncture every part of his body. Then it circulated and shuttled back and forth, causing his 5 viscera and 6 bowels, 8 extraordinary meridians, and acupoints all over his body to resonate with the orbit of the sun and moon, completing a perfect resonance. If an extremely strong Tao realm expert used his mind to sense Gu Chencha's soul, he would discover that Gu Chencha's soul had entered a strange space and time. His body was wriggling at high speed, shaking out all kinds of impurities. It was like forging a precious sword, hammering it thousands of times, and then becoming one. After a long time, night fell. Gu Chensha suddenly opened his eyes. It was as if lightning had struck the dark room, causing it to brighten up. But in the next moment, it was pitch black again. I still can't break through to the Tao realm. My soul is lacking something crucial, a type of mind, a comprehension that allows me to see through space and time. Gu Chensha carefully thought about it and summed up the gains and losses of his cultivation. He then smiled. I'm being too forceful. After all, I've only cultivated for half a year. Although my combat strength is extraordinary, my comprehension of martial arts needs time to settle. This is like wine. The more it settles, the more fragrant it becomes. When he thought about this, he calmed down. He wasn't anxious or impatient. He breathed slowly and calmly, and his comprehension deepened. 7 to 8 days had passed since he killed the black demon bats. The memorial and corpses had already reached the imperial court. Although Gu Chansha didn't receive any rewards, it didn't matter. This was a merit that couldn't be erased. He was thinking about how to kill more demons and resolve the crisis in Xian province. Long Yin hadn't appeared these days. She had disappeared without a trace. It was very likely that she had obtained the divine Mahakasipa pill and found a way to expel her demonic nature. After consuming it, her cultivation would increase greatly. Long Yin's Dragonbone sword is truly a divine weapon. It's a first-rate immortal flying sword. Gu Chensha stood up. If I had such a weapon, I could use the Sun-Moon Slaughter to launch a sneak attack. Even if I were to fight one-on-one with the black demon bats, I might be able to kill him. However, divine weapons are hard to come by. Dragon's Word Island has been established for 1,000 years, and it took generations of generations to craft such an immortal flying sword. Chi! Suddenly, there was the sound of a hidden weapon piercing through the air. Gu Chensha instinctively drifted away. It turned out that a stone had fallen to the ground. It wasn't a sneak attack, but a message. Gu Chensha didn't need to pick it up. Instead, he found a stick and peeled the paper off the stone. There were a few lines written on it. Come to the forest outside the city. There was no signature. He now had some experience in the pugilistic world. If the stone was poisoned, he would inevitably be harmed if he touched it. Who is it? Could it be a trap? Gu Chencha's thoughts raced. If it's the barbarians, they would just come to assassinate me. They wouldn't play such tricks. They aren't Long Yuyun's men either. Since they are looking for me so mysteriously, how could they be the remnants of the Xian dynasty? Since that's the case, I'll go take a look. In any case, I'll hide in the space of the sacrificial altar if I encounter danger. I'll come out after the danger is over. Immediately, he moved and shuttled through the air again. An hour later, he arrived at the edge of the forest outside the city. He purposely slowed down and moved slowly so that his eyes and ears could see his surroundings. He had to be wary of the sinister hearts of men. I didn't expect Princess Minkong's son to be so cowardly. He doesn't even dare to enter the forest. A voice came from behind. Don't enter the forest when you encounter it. This is the ancient saying. You can't even tell if it's a friend or foe, so why take the risk? Gu Qinsha turned around and saw a young man in his 20s. He held a folding fan in his hand, and there were 2 armored guards beside him. The armor was quite strange. It was covered in tiny spikes. It looked like it was made of iron, but it wasn't. It looked like it was made of leather, but it wasn't. There were talismans flowing around it, and it seemed like the armor could move on its own. Giant spirit spike armor. Gu Qinsha recalled the records in the books. The Xian dynasty's royal family had once developed this armor. Not only was it impenetrable, but it could also block hidden attacks from experts. That wasn't all. The most amazing thing about it was that it had its own kinetic energy. Even a weak person wearing it could shatter rocks and leap onto houses. If a martial pathmaster was on the ship, he wouldn't even be killed by a Dao Realm First Transformation Realm expert. Of course, it was just that he wouldn't be killed. It was impossible to win. Unfortunately, it took a lot of time to create, and one had to sacrifice it to the Great Spirit God. The Xian dynasty's royal family only had less than 100 of them. Most of them ended up in the hands of the Great Young Imperial family. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor would sometimes give them to nobles and princes. In the end, the Great Young Imperial family improved the armor and created the Horn Dragon armor. It was stronger and stronger. However, there were too few of them, and they were precious items. Even the experts in the palace couldn't equip them. As for the Horn Dragon armor that the Emperor gave to Liu Baiwei, it was even better than the Horn Dragon armor. Ancient books recorded that horses could become dragons, birds could become dragons, fish could become dragons, snakes could become dragons, and humans could also become dragons. All living beings could become dragons. Dragons were split into 9 grades. The lowest was the Flood Dragon, followed by the Horn Dragon, Great Dragon, King Dragon, Divine Dragon, True Dragon, Sun and Moon Dragon, Heaven and Earth Dragon, and Dragon of all beings. The ancient emperor was also known as the True Dragon Emperor, and his status was above the Divine Dragon. As for the last 3 dragons, they were just legends. Even the emperor had to cultivate hard to reach them. Therefore, the 3 moves of the emperor's god-sealing art were sun and moon shine together. Heaven and earth live with one heart. Gu Qinsha, you are in danger. Do you know that? The young man holding a folding fan suddenly shouted. What do you mean? Gu Qinsha was observing the young man's cultivation. He noticed that the young man's aura was faintly discernible. He was no longer breathing in the air. Instead, he was absorbing spirit qi. Gu Qinsha knew that the young man was about to say that he was in danger and had to cooperate with the remaining forces of the Xian dynasty. However, Gu Qinsha pretended not to know so that he could find out the truth. Countless experts from the barbarians and evil sects have gathered in Banan province. 3 days later, they will attack the provincial capital and turn the entire province into a living hell. In other words, you can only live for 3 more days. The young man holding a folding fan pointed in the direction of the 3 counties. There are more than 10 old devils gathered in those 3 counties. Even if you and the others killed the black demon bats, it would be useless. May I ask if you are a descendant of the Xian dynasty's imperial family? Gu Qinsha's tone changed. He sighed. I know that this is dangerous, but I have an imperial decree. I can only die in battle. My name is Chun Jianfeng, the young man said. You and I are of the same generation. The surname of the Xian dynasty's royal family was Chun. This was also the origin of Gu Qinsha. For example, Crown Prince Gu Hengsha's mother was from the Hung family. 7th Prince Gu Fasha's mother was from the famous legalism family. 10th Prince Gu Jinsha's mother was from the Lei family. However, Zhen and Lei were the same. You want to cooperate with me? Deal with the current situation? Or can you help me wipe out these rebels? Gu Qinsha asked. He was secretly cautious when dealing with the remnants of the Xian dynasty's royal family. Even though the other party was from his mother's family, his mother was also an abandoned child of the royal family. The princesses of the past dynasties were all abandoned children. Why do you want to wipe out the rebels? Chen Jianfeng chuckled. The barbarians, the evil sects, and the great Yonko are preparing for a decisive battle. Once war breaks out, the world will be in chaos, and it will be a great opportunity for us to restore our country. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor was arrogant and actually angered those powerful gods, causing the common people to suffer along with him. If I can't wipe out the rebels, I might be sent to prison. Gu Qinsha frowned. What prison? Chen Jianfeng's tone was filled with contempt. I heard that you have activated the bloodline of the great spirit god. If you join forces with us, the entire Xian province will immediately become our territory. Chapter 43. Prince. Gu Qinsha had a strange expression. Then who is the emperor? Naturally, it's our crown prince, Chen Tianwang. Back then, he followed the grand tutor and trained hard. Now that he has reached grand completion, he will naturally seek justice from the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Chen Jianfeng's face was filled with killing intent. I know you have been living a tough life, being discriminated against in the royal palace all year round. Now that you have a chance to stand out, this is the only path you can take. If you don't cooperate with us, you won't be able to get through this. Don't you know that Liu Baiwe framed you on purpose? But if the country is restored, the world will be plunged into misery and suffering. What will you think? Gu Qinsha inquired. The people of the world are like chives, harvested batch after batch. Isn't it the same for generations? You can't be so stupid, right? Chen Jianfeng's tone was high and mighty, not treating the people as humans at all. Xian dynasty was far inferior to the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been destroyed. Gu Qinsha thought, it's not a blessing for the people of the world to have such thoughts. Not to mention the fact that they can't take over the world. Even if they can, they will only enslave the people and cause the country to regress. What? You're not willing? Chen Jianfeng's eyes were cold as he stared at Gu Qinsha. Things can be discussed, but you want me to do such a big thing just because of a single sentence? Isn't this too childish? Can't you show some sincerity? Gu Qinsha could tell that this person had ill intentions, but he couldn't be bothered to fall out with him. Right now, Liu Baiwe is holding the fort near Banan province with her troops, and Third Prince Gu Fasha has even more troops. There's also Marquis Jusher at the border of Xian province to support her at any time. I don't have any troops, and I'm alone. Do you think I can take down Xian province just because I want to rebel? That's fine. It's not difficult to get troops. I can support you with a few thousand experts at any time. Also, you said that you don't have any soldiers, but that's not necessarily true. I don't believe that you can kill the black demon bat with your strength. The expert beside you is not simple. Chen Jianfeng took a few steps forward. Do you agree or not? Time is of the essence. If you miss this opportunity, you will die a tragic death in a few days. I need to think about it for 2 days. This is a big matter, and I have to plan. Gu Qinsha secretly looked around to see if there was any danger, and then began to delay for time. All right, I'll give you 2 days. After 2 days, we'll meet here again. I hope you can give me a reply. Chen Jianfeng raised his hand and made an inviting gesture. Gu Qinsha's legs bounced off as he retreated rapidly, disappearing in a few leaps. Young master, I think this person is just playing dumb with us. There's no way he would betray that old bastard Heavenly Talisman Emperor. He was recently conferred the title of Duke and has established his own manor. He's riding the crest of success. Why would he follow us to restore our country? A subordinate came up and said solemnly, why don't you take him down, extract his bloodline, and inject it into young master's body? At that time, young master will be able to communicate with the great spirit god. As long as the great spirit god acknowledges you, young master will be the ruler. Even the crown prince will have to bow down to you. You think I don't want to take him down? Chen Jianfeng laughed coldly. But he's not a simple character. If he can kill the black demon bat, the expert beside him can kill me at any time. So I'll give him 2 days. At that time, he will come to me for help. He definitely won't be able to withstand the barbarians and evil sex attacks. The great Yonko-S court will definitely force him into a desperate situation. As they spoke, the three retreated into the forest. After leaving, Gu Chansha didn't return to the provincial capital. Instead, he opened up a map on a small hill outside the city. It was a map of Banan province. There were dozens of counties and 5 prefectures in Banan province. All of them were clearly marked on the map. There were all sorts of roads, paths, mountain paths, waterways, forests, lakes, and even villages. At that moment, 3 counties and the surrounding villages, towns, and forests were all circled in red. They were Tao County, and Cha County. These 3 places had completely fallen. The counties had become the evil sect's altar. Every day, countless people were sacrificed or turned into evil sect members to attack and plunder other counties and villages. The army of Banan province had fought with the evil sect several times, but they were all defeated. Now, they could only retreat and shrink their line of defense. The evil sect's attack is imminent. Governor Ba can't be relied on. That army is not enough to fill the gaps between the experts' teeth. Gu Chansha had his own plans. The only thing I can do now is to go deep into the tiger's den and assassinate as many evil sect experts as I can to disrupt their plans. That might delay them for a while. If it's someone else, it won't work. But I have the sacrificial talisman space. If I encounter danger, I can enter it with just a thought. That way, I can come and go like a shadow. He had no soldiers, no generals, and no one he could trust. He had enemies on all sides. This was the only way to stop the evil sect's army. Moreover, his main purpose of coming here was to practice martial arts. If he could kill the evil sect experts in actual combat, not only would he be able to relieve the suffering of the people, but he could also sacrifice to the heavens to obtain the heavenly dew. It could also ease the current situation. It was killing 3 birds with 1 stone. If he had not learned the solar moon obliteration, this plan might not have been feasible. But now, he had an 89% chance of success. If I can borrow the dragon bone sword, I can hide in the altar's space. When the evil sect experts pass by and suddenly assassinate me, even the black demon bat would not be able to withstand the power. Even Long Yiyun might not be willing to lend it to me. If I had known, I would have taken Liu Baiyue's fiery sword. Gu Chansha kept the map and flew away. Forget it. Liu Baiyue is a scheming person. If I take her sword, she might be suspicious. Moreover, that sword was forged by my father. If it has spirituality, it will be bad if it can sense the sacrificial talisman. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Gu Chansha pondered, but he did not slow down. He followed the map and rushed to the 3 counties where the turmoil was. Although it was night and the surroundings were dark, and there was no moon in the sky, his eyes could clearly see any small objects several miles away. 4 to 6 hours later, the sky was slightly brighter. He avoided the place where the imperial court's army was stationed and took small paths. He walked a few hundred miles in this way and was close to Peach County. Along the way, there were many prosperous villages and towns that were deserted. All kinds of houses were burned, and even the trees had burn marks. It was really like a fire in the village and smoke in the trees. Many of the villages had charred corpses on the ground. There were old people, women, and children. Some were even disemboweled. It was a horrible sight. This was the first time Gu Chansha had seen such a horrible scene. He was furious and wanted to kill all the evil sect leaders and barbarians. There's a battle cry in the distance. His sensitive ears caught the sound of movement, and he immediately leaped onto the top of a large tree on a high hill. With the help of the morning light, he looked into the distance and saw a town in the distance. There was a tall city wall, and the citizens of the town were defending against the attacks of the cultists. The evil sect members were dressed in black robes and wrapped themselves up tightly. Each of them had a long knife in their hands. They swarmed forward, trying to break into the town. The evil sect members had taken the 3 counties as their base. They attacked many villages and took people to the evil sect's altar. They killed the priests and brainwashed some people to become evil sect members. This snowball-like development was extremely terrifying. In the past, the imperial court would immediately send troops and experts to annihilate them. The town in the distance was quite prosperous and had a large population. People from the surrounding villages also came to the town to seek refuge. Under the leadership of the mayor, the defense system was surprisingly effective. There were also a few experts in the town who patrolled the walls and killed the evil sect members. In addition, there were archers, crossbows, and even a few cannons. Suddenly, a long whistle came from the evil sect's camp. Not good. It's a martial arts master. Gu Qinsha immediately knew that there were experts among the evil cultists. If a martial arts grandmaster were to make a move, he could leap onto the city wall and kill the strong leaders in the town. The tens of thousands of people in the town would collapse and become the evil cultist livestock waiting to be slaughtered. Sun and Moon Walk roamed the world. He activated his movement technique and quickly approached the evil sect's army. Someone is coming. Stop him. Just as he was about to get close, the evil sect leader noticed something was wrong. He waved the flag in his hand, and a large group of evil sect members swarmed over. Rain of flowers. Gu Qinsha kicked a stone and crushed it into dozens of pieces. He threw them at them. The stones whistled through the air and were as fast as lightning. They immediately knocked out dozens of evil sect members. This was a hidden weapon technique. It was recorded in the Great Spirit God technique and was most suitable for group battles. Although he had thrown dozens of pebbles, each one of them was extremely accurate in identifying the acupoints, and the force used was precise. However, he didn't kill them. The stones didn't hit their vitals, but just knocked them out. After they woke up, their internal strength would be numb, and they wouldn't be able to kill or harm people. Most of these evil sect members were civilians who were forced and bewitched. Killing their leader would naturally wake them up, and there was no need to kill them all. He was really quick and very quickly charged into the evil sect army and got close to the general position. These evil cultists were, after all, commoners. Although they were all valiant and unafraid of death, they were not as well trained as the army. If it were the elite troops of the Great Yong dynasty, with the layers of shields, forest of spears, saber formations, bows and arrows, and even the arrangement of gunmen, it would be basically impossible to take the head of a general amidst an army of 10,000. In the past, when the Great Yong dynasty army attacked many sects, there were first and second Dao realm experts who died. Of course, if one reached third Dao realm with copper skin and iron bones, then the threat of the army would be much lower. Even sharp arrows and crossbows wouldn't be able to harm one's body. This time, the third prince was afraid of the barbarian race god envoy. He had cultivated to the sixth Dao realm and cultivated energy into energy. He wasn't someone a normal army could fight against. Kill! The evil sect leader stood on a wooden platform and held a flag in his hand. When he saw that the disciples couldn't stop Gu Qinsha and allowed him to get close, he was furious. He grabbed a spear and tossed it out. The spear was like a flying snake as it headed for Gu Qinsha's heart. Good timing. Gu Qinsha dodged the spear, and with a slight jump, he was on the platform. He opened his fingers and was about to grab the leader. The leader's eyes were evil and red. There were tattoos on his face, and when he saw Gu Qinsha attack, he didn't fear anything. He pulled out his blade, and the blade exploded, covering the sky in blade shadows. Blood-melting blade. Chapter 44. In front of them, a cult leader, a grandmaster, had already rushed up the town walls to kill people. This grandmaster wielded the blood-melting blade and was about to kill Gu Qinsha. The blade was filled with blood energy and seemed to have a demonic power on it. Its sharpness wasn't something a normal blade could compare to. Gu Qinsha didn't even need to look to know that he couldn't let it cut his skin. Although it wasn't as strong as a dragonbone sword, it still had terrifying lethality. Good blade, I was just worried about not having a weapon. Gu Qinsha could even kill a transformation 2 Dao Realm Black Bat, so why would he care about normal martial arts masters? He shifted his feet and flashed, dodging the blade glow. His eyes were sharp, and he instantly found an opening. He stretched out his palm and broke the evil sect leader's heart meridian. The moment he killed the evil sect leader, He connected to the heaven worship platform with his mind. The space absorbed the blood essence and soul of the leader, which floated above the altar and turned into a blood ball. The blood-melting blade then fell and was caught by Guchen Shah. It actually weighed 100 kilograms. He didn't know what kind of steel it was made of, but it reeked of blood when he brandished it. Upon closer inspection, he found that there were blood-colored talismans flickering in it. It transmitted a bloodthirsty thought, mixed with a set of violent saber techniques into his mind. It wanted to turn him into a bloodthirsty demon and kill people everywhere. This meant that whoever grabbed the blade would be controlled by the blade. Each time he killed someone, the talisman on the blade would absorb that person's blood essence and even their soul to strengthen the blade itself. What an evil blade! Guchen Shah quickly recalled the secrets of the evil sect that he had read. Instantly, a record appeared in his mind. The bloodthirsty cult will first refine 7 blood-melting blades and combine the 7 killing intents to kill living beings. Then, they will merge into one and become the human demon bloodblade. After further refinement, it will become the earth demon bloodblade. Finally, it will become the heavenly demon bloodblade. This blade is the heavenly demon, and the heavenly demon is this blade. Once it is refined, it will rain blood, and ghosts will cry at night. Fresh blood will flood the world. In ancient times, there was a peerless blood demon who successfully refined this blade. Simply put, if this evil saber was controlled by someone, it would go berserk. It was the saber that controlled the person, not the other way around. Humph! You want to control me with a mere blood-melting blade? What a joke! Guchen Shah meditated, and the saber disappeared into the heaven offering platform. Buzz! Guchen Shah destroyed the sacrificial knife. The saber suddenly exploded. The blood light, the vengeful soul, and even the will of the evil blood god were sucked away by the heavenly Tao. Then, a weapon that looked like a saber or a sword appeared on the altar. The prototype of the demon descending blade. With a thought from Guchen Shah, the weapon landed in his hand. It weighed 50 kilograms and shone a green light. It shook its head and tail like a green dragon. This sword is sharp, although it isn't as sharp as the dragon bone sword. If I find the other 6 blood-melting blades and sacrifice them to the heavenly Tao, I will be able to obtain the demon descending blade that exceeds the human demon bloodblade. At that time, it might not lose to the dragon bone sword. The true demon descending blade could injure the sky demon. This prototype was less than 1/10,000th of its strength, but it was still a god weapon. With this weapon, along with sun and moon kill and the hiding ability of the heaven offering platform, even experts with copper skin and iron bones could be injured. Without a god weapon, even if Guchen Shah used sun and moon kill and used his bare hands to attack, he might be able to kill a stage 2 Tao realm expert like the Black Demon Bat. However, he wouldn't be able to deal with someone who had copper skin and iron bones. Commander is dead. Commander is dead. Many evil sect members saw it clearly. Someone suddenly jumped onto the platform and killed the commander with one strike. He then snatched the blood-melting blade. This sudden change shook the hearts of the evil sect members, and some of them even started to disperse. Originally, evil sect members were coerced by the people. Even if they were trained, brainwashed, and drank some evil talisman water, they couldn't be compared to elite soldiers who had been trained for more than 10 years. This meant that in history, there were almost no examples of evil sects rebelling successfully. Guchen Shah couldn't be bothered with all this. He held the prototype demon descending blade and jumped off the platform, heading straight for the city wall to kill the remaining martial arts grandmaster. When he jumped onto the city wall, he was shocked to find that the martial arts grandmaster was about to start a massacre, but he was stopped by 5 young men. The 5 young men held their swords and formed a sword formation. They weaved left and right with great power. It was like an inescapable net, like a silkworm spitting silk. They pinned the cult leader down, and for a moment, the cult leader couldn't do anything to the 5 young men. The cultivation of the 5 youngsters was also quite good. All of them were martial arts masters, and they were at the 3rd level of the mortal realm, which was simply a miracle for the town. Even the disciples of wealthy families in the provincial capital would find it extremely difficult to become a martial arts grandmaster. After all, a martial arts grandmaster only needed to set up a small army and kill some barbarians to qualify as a sixth-rank general. The great Yonko court had decreed that all military officers between the 6th and 4th rank had to be martial arts grandmasters. Those above the 3rd rank had to be martial arts grandmasters. What sword technique is this? It has all 5 elements, and it's like spring rain, summer thunder, autumn frost, winter snow, and the blazing sun. Gu Chensha rushed to the city wall. After a brief observation, he found that the 5 young men had great potential. They seemed to have had a fortuitous encounter, and the swords in their hands were strange and ancient. However, it wouldn't be easy to take care of this martial arts grandmaster. Blood-melting blade. Right at this moment, the martial arts grandmaster pulled out the blade on his back. Blood burst out, and another blood-melting blade appeared. As soon as this blade appeared, the 5 young men felt dizzy, and their lives were on the line. Gu Chensha leaped forward, and the demon-subduing blade in his hand sprayed out a wave of sword light. Clang! The blood light disappeared, and the blood-melting blade disappeared. The martial arts grandmaster knelt on the ground, and his head rolled off the city wall. He killed a martial arts grandmaster with a single move. The 5 young men came to their senses and were almost stunned. Could he be a Dao realm immortal? In the eyes of many mortals, Dao realm cultivators were considered immortals by absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Now that the leader has been killed, the evil cultists have lost their support. Attack immediately and disperse them. Gu Chensha waved his hand. Everyone, open the gates and charge. The 5 young men waved their arms and called out. Immediately, the townspeople gathered, and their morale was boosted. They opened the city gates and charged out. The evil cultists resisted for a while, but without experts to hold them back, it was difficult for them to continue, and they all scattered. The townspeople did not chase after them. They withdrew their troops and returned to the city, afraid that the evil cultists would send more experts to attack. I'm a mayor. Thank you for saving us, great hero. May I know your name? The mayor led the 5 young men and a few old men to greet Gu Chensha. I'm a 19th prince, Gu Chensha. I have been conferred the title of duke, and I have come to Xian province as an imperial envoy. Now, I will lead the army to eliminate the evil cultists in Banan province. Don't be afraid. The imperial army is ready to go at any time. I have come to check on the enemy. Gu Chensha did not hide his identity. What? The mayor was dumbfounded. The highest official he had seen in his life was probably the county magistrate or the prefectural magistrate. Even the inspector was an existence he could only look up to. However, he was also a scholar, and he was well-mannered. He quickly knelt and said to the 5 young men, "Why are you still not kneeling?" At that moment, everyone knelt on the ground. We didn't know that the 19th prince was here. We deserve to die. Get up. This is a critical time. Gu Chensha waved his hand. We can't stay in this town any longer. The evil cultists and barbarians are full of experts. After the death of the 2 grandmasters, they will definitely send more powerful experts. Why don't you go to Banan province? Your Highness, we have tens of thousands of people in the town. If we all retreat, how can we escape with our families? We will probably be caught by the evil cultists before we reach Banan province, or we will die of exhaustion. Moreover, the provincial capital is full. Many people from the county have run to the provincial capital to seek refuge. They can't even enter the city. We have discussed it. The only way is to defend the town and live and die together, a young man quickly said. That's true. Gu Chensha looked around. There were still many old people, women, and children in the town. These people could not walk more than 100 miles in a day, not to mention carrying gold, silver, and soft food. Even if tens of thousands of people reached the provincial capital, they would not be able to make arrangements. The daily expenses of food, drink, and excrement would be huge. He thought about it for a while and knew that defending the town was the only way. What are the 5 of you called? I saw that your martial arts are not bad, and your swordsmanship is passed down from the ancient times. Why don't you go and take the military officer examination? To serve the imperial court, Glyph asked. There are 5 of them. One of them is my son, and the other 4 are the sons of the big families in the town. The 5 of them grew up together and became brothers of the opposite sex. They usually follow the teachings of the ancient times, read thousands of books, and travel thousands of miles. They travel everywhere. Anyway, it is convenient to travel by water now. I don't know which mountain. I found 5 scrolls of sword manuals, and each of them cultivated one of them. Originally, they want to take the military officer examination, but the evil cultists broke out, and the people are in a panic. The imperial court's army has also retreated, so it was delayed. Now that I met the 19th master, it is a blessing that I have cultivated in my previous life. It is a good opportunity to serve the 19th master, and I hope that I can find a place to live. This mayor was good at seizing opportunities. The 5 of you have great potential. I am also lacking people, but it is still up to you. Glyph thought about how his mansion was filled with Long Yuyun's people, and felt that it was not appropriate. The 5 people in front of him had a fortuitous encounter, had wonderful swordsmanship, and had clean backgrounds. If he could recruit and train them, they would be good subordinates. Hurry up and thank the 19th prince. The mayor saw the 5 young men staring blankly and immediately flew into a rage. Thank you, 19th master. The 5 of them hurriedly cowed out. Chapter 45. This sword technique is called the 5 seasons swordsmanship. There are 5 of us, and each of us has cultivated 1 season. It's just right. The mayor's son was called Lu Yu. The sword technique he cultivated was Blazing Sunday. When it was activated, there was a dry smell. 5 seasons swordsmanship. This is a real ancient sword technique. Glyph was slightly stunned. Originally, there were only 4 seasons in the world. However, in the ancient times, there were 5 seasons because in the 5th season, 10 suns would appear in the sky, scorching the mountains and rivers of the great earth, and all living things would be tormented in an oven. Later on, an unrivaled hero appeared, shooting down 9 suns, and so there were only 4 seasons left: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. You guys are considered unusual for cultivating swordsmanship. This is a fortuitous encounter. It will definitely be useful in the future. Glyph was amazed by the ingenuity of the 5 seasons swordsmanship. He took out a gourd and poured 5 drops of heavenly dew into a bowl. This is a spiritual medicine. Each of you take 1 drop. It can cleanse your body and force out the impurities. You might have a chance to become a master in the near future. The 5 young men smelled the fragrance and felt refreshed. Lu Yu had a strange look in his eyes. He said fiercely, "This is the legendary heavenly dew." "Oh, you know about the heavenly dew?" Glyph did not expect a young man from a remote town to know about such an item. We read in the book in the cave that if we can consume the heavenly dew, a few key acupoints in our swordsmanship can be unblocked and improved. Now that I smell the fragrance, a few of my key acupoints are stirring. I'm guessing that it might be a rare item even in ancient times. Lu Yu knelt down. "Your Highness, I can't believe you gave me such a precious item. We swear to serve you with our lives." "No, I'm not giving it to you. I'm giving it to the people of the town." Glyph's expression was solemn. "The evil cult will come back at any time. The 5 of you are the strongest, so you must protect the town. Promise me that you will protect them even if you die." "Yes." Hearing Glyph's words, the 5 of them felt a sense of holiness. "Pick up your swords and protect the people you want to protect. As long as the swords are there is hope." Glyph patted their shoulders one by one. "Get up. I hope that one day we will meet again in the capital, drinking and chatting happily." With that, he leaped up and sprinted away from the town, heading for the cult's true lair, Peach County. The sword is still here, so hope is still here. Lu Yu muttered to himself. His blood was boiling. His Highness is really a dragon among men. He is worthy of us pledging our lives to follow him. He charged into the evil cult's lair alone. This is great courage. He gave us the heavenly dew for the sake of our town's people. This is a righteous act. Come, let's drink this heavenly dew together and practice our swordsmanship to our heart's content. Let's kill our enemies with vigor. The morning mist had dispersed and the sun was high in the sky. The weather was still chilly and spring was not yet over. Guchinsha was walking on a small path in a mountain forest. It was a deserted place, and he did not encounter any cult masters. Gradually, he advanced another few hundred miles and approached Tao County town. He found a high vantage point on a hill outside of the town and looked into the distance. He could see the whole town in front of him. The town had completely fallen. Many cultists were moving wood and stones. They seemed to be building temples and altars in the center of the town. On the roads that extended in all directions, many cultists were rushing over from all directions. They were chasing and escorting the people away. The cultists used this as a base and sent out teams to plunder the villages and towns, taking the people as sacrifices. As expected, many of the people were being supervised by the cultists and groups of barbarian soldiers. Those who resisted the most would be dragged to the giant altar, and their heads would be chopped off to be sacrificed to the evil gods. The altar in the center of the town was at least a few thousand acres wide. It was stained with blood and bones. It was unknown how many people had been killed over the past few days. At the center of the altar, as there were too many people killed, there was a faint pillar of black gas. It was as if some kind of door had been opened. Inside, there was a chilly wind blowing and ghosts crying. There were demonic shadows moving, trying to break through the space and descend into the real world. Many barbarian generals were kneeling under the altar and praying. They would occasionally capture a few people and behead them. Instantly, black gas would rush into their bodies and increase their strength. This kind of training and killing made their cultivation speed extremely fast. Damn it, they're all beasts. Guchinsha was filled with hatred, but he didn't do anything. He knew that there were definitely experts in Peach County. There were many barbarian race and evil sects, so he couldn't act rashly. I will sacrifice the other blood melting blade first. His body disappeared, and he sacrificed the other blood melting blade in the heaven worship altar. The blood melting blade instantly collapsed and turned into the prototype of the demon subduing blade. Then, the two demons subduing blades attracted each other and fused together, turning into one again. Guchinsha held the new demon subduing blade and realized that it was heavier, but the lines were more perfect and the blade was sharper. At the same time, he sacrificed the two evil sect leaders and obtained a total of 5 drops of heaven dew. It was the same amount as the 5 drops he had given out. One couldn't help but sigh at the cycle of the heavens. There really were coincidences. This blade's power has increased, and I can use it more easily. I wonder if it can break the defense of a Tao realm transformation 3 expert. Guchinsha took out a set of evil sect clothes and changed into them. He was prepared for this. These cult followers were all dressed in black robes, and even their faces were covered. It was impossible to see their true faces, so it was not difficult for him to blend in with them. Plus, the evil sects had just been established, and their systems weren't perfect. They didn't even know their own people, which was a great advantage for Guchinsha. After he changed his clothes, he quickly jumped and followed behind the evil cult team, returning to the city. Surprisingly, no one noticed him. These evil sect members walked in silence. Their intelligence seemed to have been corroded by evil energy. Although their strength had increased, they had lost some of their intelligence and humanity. Such people were easy to control and didn't fear death in battle. However, they had lost their creativity and wouldn't last long. All of you, take a rest and eat something. Be on standby for further orders, the evil cult leader instructed as they entered the county. These evil sect members walked in silently and sat down in the newly built temple. At this moment, other sect members brought them water and food. After eating, they lay down and rested. They didn't talk to each other and were like walking corpses. They didn't have their own houses, so they all rested in the temple and slept on the floor. Guchinsha pretended to pee and walk around casually. However, no one cared about him. His body flashed, and he was extremely fast. He avoided everyone's eyes and ears and sneaked into the depths of the temple. The entire Tao County city was being modified by the evil sect members. Many temples surrounded the altar in the center. The outermost temple was occupied by normal sect members. They all slept on the floor in the main hall. There were hundreds of people sleeping in one hall. Further in, there were individual small rooms. These were the residences of high-level evil sect leaders. Gu Qinsha went deeper and realized that those with individual small rooms were martial artist-level evil sect leaders. Further in, there were individual rooms for martial artists with servants. However, these weren't worth assassinating. Gu Qinsha didn't even want to assassinate martial masters now. He wanted to assassinate Dao realm evil demons or barbarian martials. Even if his Dao realm had changed, his status in the barbarian world would still be that of a martial leading a mighty army or an extremely noble emissary of a divine temple. If he could assassinate a few of these key martials, he would definitely be able to alleviate the crisis. I'll go deeper. His body flickered. Sometimes he was like a gecko. Sometimes he was like a leopard. Sometimes he was like a snake hiding in its lair. He used the sun and moon transformation technique to the extreme. Even if he encountered an expert, it would be difficult to detect his presence. The sun and moon transformation technique was good at changing. His aura could be majestic or obscure. He stood behind the pillar and could completely blend in with the surroundings. His heartbeat and breathing were in sync with the rhythm of the hall. Even those who had cultivated their spirit to a mysterious level wouldn't be able to detect his presence. The deeper he went into the temple, the more extravagant the decorations became. There were even gold leaf, jade, and pearls on the walls. The evil sect members walking here were also full of spirit. They weren't walking corpses. The defense isn't very tight. Gu Qinsha hid in a corner. Whenever someone passed by, he would enter the sacrificial altar space. After the person left, he would appear again. Just like that, he quickly approached the core of the godly temple. If this goes on, I could become a godly thief. It's a pity that when I hide in the sacrificial altar space, I can't sense what's going on outside. I can only come out after the person has left, which is very inconvenient. This isn't the weakness of the heaven sacrificial talisman. It's just that I haven't activated its true power. The ancient history books recorded that the heaven sacrificial talisman was almost omnipotent. Apart from communicating with the heavens, it was also a treasure that suppressed many worlds. It could be said that it was the only key to open the Heaven Dao treasury or the core fragment of the Heaven Dao. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. It required more Emperor's energy to activate. Many ancient emperors weren't able to accumulate enough Emperor's energy to fully use this treasure. The true usage of the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman in ancient times was when the Emperor built a giant altar and placed the edict on it. At a certain time, the officials would worship it together. This way, they would be able to inject all the Emperor's energy into it and dethrone the gods. Hiya! Hiya! At this moment, a voice came from the path of the temple. A group of cultists were carrying boxes to be stored in the storeroom. Be careful, these are all treasures. Lift them gently and don't shake them. The leader of the cultists shouted. The people carrying the boxes were all warriors, and there were more than 10 of them. Even lifting one box seemed to be strenuous. It was obvious that the items in the box weighed at least a few thousand pounds. Gu Qinsha followed behind and saw the group of people bypass the main hall and enter the side hall. They used a key to open the heavy door. Whoosh! Gu Qinsha entered as fast as he could. Why did I feel like there was a shadow just now? The cultists looked at each other and hurriedly entered the storeroom to check every corner. But they didn't find anyone. Could it be that our eyes are playing tricks on us? After confirming that there was no one here, they closed the door and left. After a long time, a person suddenly appeared in the storeroom. It was Gu Qinsha. He had taken the risk to rush into the storeroom and then entered the space of the sacrificial altar. He waited for a long time and only came out when he felt that the people who were checking had left. Chapter 46. Crack. With a twist of his hand, Gu Qinsha crushed the steel lock and opened the chest. Inside were gold, jewels, and all kinds of jewelry. Not to mention, they must have been looted from other places. This chest was worth at least 70 to 80,000 eternal yuan coins. He opened more than 10 chests in a row and found that they were all treasures, worth at least 1,000,000 yuan. I need money to build a mansion, so my father gave me 300,000 yuan. It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. He grabbed the chests and threw them into the altar space. Anyway, the altar space was not big, but it was not small either. It would not be a problem to store the entire warehouse. There were more than 10 chests here. Other than treasures, there were also pills. Gu Qinsha opened the chest on the west side of the warehouse. Inside were bottles of red pills the size of mung beans. They had a slight fragrance and did not seem like poison. They were used to increase one's strength and strengthen one's body. This should be the blood-strengthening pill consumed by the barbarian nobles. It is an ancient prescription passed down by the temple shamans. There are witchcraft elements in it. Long-term consumption can indeed increase one's cultivation and expel impurities from a body. The medical department of the imperial court has studied it. Some of the lower-class rich families in the imperial court would secretly do business with the barbarians. They would exchange porcelain, silk, and tea leaves for these pills to train their disciples to strengthen their bodies. Gu Qinsha also collected the chest containing the pills. The blood-strengthening pill was expensive and sold well. Many local families risked being eaten by the barbarians to do business. There was an endless stream of smuggling at the border. Although the effect of the tiger wolf pill was 10,000 times stronger, Gu Qinsha would not leave it for the barbarians and the evil cult. Moreover, there were more than 10 chests of blood-strengthening pills, which could be sold for hundreds of thousands of yuan. The chest in the north was once again opened by him. Inside were sets of armor made from some unknown animal skin. They were light and tough, covering the entire body. They seemed to be very valuable as well. Gu Qinsha also collected them. He would equip the guards in the future. He walked around and found that there were treasures, pills, and armor. He put them all into his bag and walked to the center of the warehouse. In the center was a large chest, which was the one that the group of people had carried in. Gu Qinsha grabbed the steel lock and twisted it fiercely, but it did not break. The lock was made of unknown metal, but it was terrifyingly strong. What? With my current strength, I can completely crush iron in a mud, but this lock can't break? He took out the prototype of the demon's subduing blade and fiercely slashed it. Only then did the lock break and fall to the ground. Opening the chest, Zhang Xian found that it was not a treasure, nor was it a weapon, but a human skeleton. The color of the skeleton was sparkling and translucent like jade. It was not the grayish-white color of a dead person, but it was definitely a person. He could clearly feel the majesty of a cultivator from above. Jade glass body. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, this person's skeleton is made of glass. It records what he looks like after reaching the 9 transformations of Dao Realm and the glass jade body. I don't know what this skeleton could be used for. Go back and read more books. I'll keep it for now. He also placed the box into the sacrificial heaven space. The entire warehouse was swept clean by him. Then he walked to the side of the door and stabbed the prototype of the demon subduing blade into the door, digging out a piece the size of a wash basin. He leaped up and carried the piece of door to the outside before stuffing back in. There were a few disciples guarding outside the warehouse. When they heard the commotion, they looked over. But before they came back to their senses, Gu Qinsha knocked them out. He dragged them to a secluded area and continued to walk in. This time he was here to assassinate experts. He had made a small fortune, but that didn't satisfy his appetite. He had to kill at least 1 or 2 Dao Realm demons. The buildings here don't seem right. They seem to have formed some sort of formation. As he walked, he realized that the layout of the buildings wasn't right. They were crooked like a maze. The walls were made of gold, silver, copper, iron, and other materials. The ground was uneven and there were many ravines. The air trembled slightly. The feng shui buildings were drawing on some sort of energy. He felt really relaxed, like he was sitting in the wind, moon, and spring. Is this a spirit gathering formation? He hid in the corner and observed once more. It must be a spirit gathering formation. Using a certain construction method to adjust feng shui could also gather heaven and earth spiritual energy. It was just that it wasn't as easy as Tao realm. However, when one cultivated in the spirit gathering formation, they would be cleansed by spiritual energy, and their cultivation speed would be 10 times faster than normal people. However, building a spirit gathering formation required a lot of money and required experts to build it. They also had to bury precious materials underground, which often cost millions or even tens of millions. Even a prince's residence would find it hard to build one. Inhale. Inhale. Suddenly, a loud, breathing sound spread out from the depths of the spirit gathering formation. This breathing ability was like that of a giant dragon and definitely wasn't human. This was because every time he inhaled, the air would surge inwards, and when he exhaled, the air would surge back like a tide. An expert is cultivating. No wonder he needs to use the spirit gathering formation. Looking at this breathing aura, his cultivation is probably above that of the black ghost bat. I wonder what kind of demon it is. Or is it a barbarian race god envoy? If I can kill this person, then this trip won't be in vain. Gu Qinsha had already killed the black ghost bat, and that was already a huge contribution. If he killed another expert of the same level, even if he lost Banan province, it would be a huge contribution. A Dao realm expert was much more important than a province. He followed the breathing and hid, using sun and moon transformation to hide his aura, so he wasn't noticed. After a dozen turns and passing through layers of corridors and screens, he suddenly saw a small garden. The interior was exquisitely decorated, and there were 18 flags planted around it. Each flag was embroidered with a majestic and profound dragon. The dragon was multicolored, with its head raised and chest puffed out, as if it was about to break through the sky and fly away. The surroundings were embroidered with layers of talismans to trap the dragon. The positions of the flags seemed to correspond to the stars in the sky. Along with the spirit gathering formation, it could be used to shift and transform energy. At the center of the 18 flags sat a person. This person looked to be around 30 years old. He had a pale gold complexion, a high nose, thick eyebrows, and a long face. His eyes were closed, and he had a noble aura. He didn't look evil or demonic. He didn't look like a barbarian or a demon. Could this person be? Gu Qinsha sensed carefully and realized that the dragon on the flag was very similar to the Great Wei Dynasty dragon that he had obtained from the Black Ghost Bat. Apart from that, this person's aura also had the aura of an emperor. If it wasn't the great Yonko S Emperor aura, then without a doubt, he was a noble of the Great Wei Dynasty. Thinking back to the Black Ghost Bat's conferment, there was no doubt that the Great Wei Dynasty, which was so far away, had their hands in the great Yonko S border. Who is it? The man suddenly opened his eyes and looked in Gu Qinsha's direction. As he looked at Gu Qinsha, his body leaped up and his eyes landed on Gu Qinsha. Not good. Before Gu Qinsha could react, he saw everything disappear. What replaced it was a giant dragon claw descending from the sky. Try to capture him. What powerful martial arts. Ever since he had mastered the lunisolar transformation, there were very few people who could affect his mind with pure martial arts aura. In the blink of an eye, the sun and moon alternated in his mind, and yin and yang reunited. The world became clear again, and all the illusions disappeared. However, the man's palm slammed down on his head, and a sharp wind formed a spiral that enveloped him completely. His surroundings became a wall of air, and he had nowhere to run. He could only stay where he was and watch as he was killed by the man. Bang! As the man's palm closed, a giant whirlwind wave condensed into a small tornado where Gu Qinsha was, making a buzzing sound. But Gu Qinsha had disappeared. The man had not expected such a change. He looked around, but there were no traces. He could not help but frown. Could it be an illusion? I'm about to break through, and there's an illusion of a demon? But it doesn't matter. That skeleton should have been transported from the barbarians. I paid a huge price to exchange for it. Once it arrives, I can use the heavenly dragon bone changing technique. That way, I'll have the confidence to break through. Dang, dang, dang. At that moment, the alarm outside rang. Enemy attack. What's going on? The man walked out of the garden. At that moment, someone flew over. It was a young man who looked like a scholar, and he had an evil aura. The man waved his hand. Young scholar, is there an invasion? Your Highness, someone broke in and stole the skeleton that was exchanged from the barbarians' temple of Maha. You should go take a look. The evil scholar let out a sharp voice. What? The man called Your Highness by Young scholar had disappeared in a flash. He had clearly gone far away. The Young scholar didn't follow. Instead, he greedily looked at the 18 flags in the garden. His eyes flickered with an evil light. The heavenly dragon spirit condensing flag can gather spiritual chi and turn it into spiritual liquid. With this flag, my cultivation speed will increase by 10 times. The powerful dragon chi on the flag can also help me raise my dignity and expel my heart devils. It's even more useful for corrupt cultivators. What a pity, what a pity. The Great Wei dynasty is too strong. I can't offend this Lord Gu. The barbarians are unreliable. It's better to enter the Great Wei dynasty and become a lord. It'll be much better if I have a backer. Young scholar turned and was about to leave. Chila. At that moment, sword light burst out, covering the sky and earth. The sun and moon were destroyed, and they completely surrounded him. What is this? Young scholar turned around and punched out layers of fist energy, trying to shake off the person who had sneakily attacked him. But he only saw the scorching sun fall from the sky, the earth destroyed, and the bright moon hidden, exploding in the air. Doomsday had arrived, and a catastrophe had appeared. He felt that he had committed a heinous sin. He could not be in the sun and moon, not in time and space, not in ghosts and gods, not in the mortal world. He was abandoned by men and gods, killed by ghosts and gods, and cursed by the heavens and men. Pucci, all of his attacks were drowned in the sword light. This sword light destroyed everything, defeated everything, and punished everything. It was almost the power of the heavenly Tao. He did not even see clearly who the attacker was before his head was cut off. Gu Qinsha grabbed his head and body and sent them into the heaven's sacrificial space. He then rushed to the courtyard and pulled out all 18 flags like he was pulling out carrots and sent them into the heaven's sacrificial space. Then he ran and started to leave. Chapter 47. Roar. He had only been running for a few breaths when an angry roar came from the little garden. It seemed that the Great Wei dynasty's lord had returned and was about to go crazy when he realized that the 18 flags had disappeared. I can't run anymore. I'm heavily injured and can't run far. I might as well hide in the sacrificial space and heal my wounds first. Gu Qinsha hid in a corner of the temple and entered the space. The space was now filled with wealth, gold, jewelry, armor, pills, flags, and corpses. Gu Qinsha did not care about this. He first took more than 10 drops of heavenly dew, then used the sun and moon refining technique to dissolve the medicinal power of the heavenly dew. Immediately, a warm and refreshing feeling spread through his body, and many of his injuries were healed. Not only could heavenly dew increase one's strength, but it was also very effective in healing wounds and killing poisons. If a normal person was about to die, after taking heavenly dew, they could even hang on until the medicinal power disappeared. In theory, if there was a large amount of heavenly dew, even a dying person could live for a long time. However, heavenly dew could only be obtained by worshipping the heavens. Since ancient times, it had been in the hands of the ancient emperor. It was rarely spread and was only a legend among the people. The emperor's god-sealing art was the best combination for cultivating heavenly dew. After a full 2 hours, Gu Qinsha finally woke up. All of his injuries had healed, and he was full of energy. However, he was not in a hurry to leave. He did not know what was happening outside. If the security was tight and the evil sect and barbarian experts were gathered, he would die if he went out. Let's see what this demon has on him. Gu Chansha saw the floating blood ball in the air and ignited the sacrificial grass. Wang, he meditated slightly on the altar, and another 100 drops of heavenly dew appeared. Good. The demon I killed is of the same level as the black demon bat. He hurriedly collected the heavenly dew into his gourd. After observing, he found that he had close to 200 drops. He then began to examine the corpse, and soon found an imperial edict. Another imperial edict conferring the title of Earl by the Great Wei dynasty. What is the Great Wei dynasty trying to do by stirring up such a storm? This guy is called Yin Yang Scholar. That's right, I heard from Long Yiyun that this demon is a flower-plucking demon and specializes in cultivating the joyful plucking technique. It seems that the sect that developed back then was also annihilated by the imperial court. Gu Qinsha was still very happy. He searched again and found a pink leather scroll. It was filled with male and female training postures. It was called the Joyous Yin Yang Art. Apart from this, there was also a purple gold bottle with 3 pink medicinal pills inside. It was unknown what they were used for, but they seemed to be quite precious. Otherwise, the Yin Yang Scholar wouldn't have kept them on him. First I killed the black demon bat, then I killed the Yin Yang Scholar. After getting rid of the 2 old demons, the imperial court will calculate the merit. No matter how bad the situation is, I won't be punished. Gu Qinsha picked up the imperial edict and prepared to offer it. Suddenly, he discovered that the aura of the 18 flags actually surpassed the imperial edict. Could it be that these 18 flags are actually imperial swords or ceremonial instruments used to offer sacrifices to the heavens? Gu Qinsha was secretly surprised. He was very sensitive to the aura of the emperor. Based on his intuition, these 18 flags were even more powerful than the imperial edict. The only things stronger than the imperial edict were ceremonial objects used to offer sacrifices to the heavens. The great Yonko was stored in the imperial ancestral temple. There were many treasures that were taken out every time to offer sacrifices to the heavens. After the sacrifices, they would be stored in the warehouse. These were all extremely sacred objects. But these 18 flags seemed to be treasures. Isn't it a pity to use them as sacrifices? Whatever, I'll first offer the imperial edict and see what benefits I can get. Gu Chansha burned the imperial edict and meditated, communicating with the heavenly Tao. The imperial edict burned, and the aura of the emperor merged into the altar. Gu Chansha didn't learn any more moves. He only felt that the 4 walls of the altar seemed to have condensed a little. It was blurry like flowers in the fog. He seemed to be able to see the situation outside the altar, but it was just a feeling. It was basically impossible to see clearly. The aura of the emperor isn't enough. Gu Qinsha's sharp senses told him, it's too important for me to be able to see the situation outside. Even if these 18 flags are treasures, I don't care. Immediately, he placed the 18 flags on the altar and began to offer sacrifices. Rumble. The entire altar began to tremble, as though it was being shaken by the powerful aura of the emperor. The space began to change, and it began to expand outwards. The thin layer of space began to become transparent, becoming something like a crystal wall, allowing Gu Chansha to see clearly outside. Outside was still in the corner of the temple. Many disciples walked here and there, and he could even hear their footsteps. The current situation was that Gu Chansha was hiding in a huge crystal ball, and he could see outside. Those outside could not see the crystal ball formed by the altar because the 2 of them were not in the same space. Only those who had cultivated to an extremely profound level of Tao transformation could break through the mysteries of space and time, tear open the void, and open up a grotto heaven. But this was at least above the 30 transformations level. At this level, there was no difference between them and gods. These 18 flags are still here. After the sacrifice, the flags were actually still on the altar, but they seemed to have lost some sort of majesty. That was because the aura of the emperor had been absorbed by the altar. In the past, imperial edicts were ordinary materials. When the sacrifice was made, the energy would fluctuate, and if it couldn't withstand it, it would be burned to ashes. But this flag is made of special materials, so it wasn't damaged, and it still has spiritual effects. After all, I didn't sacrifice the flag, but the aura of the emperor on it. Gu Qinsha understood this point and instantly became happy. This meant that the flag could still be used, and it still had the effect of gathering spiritual energy. The dissipation of the aura of the emperor had no effect on the treasure itself. The guards outside haven't dispersed yet. I have to wait. He carefully observed the changes outside. Now that he was able to do it smoothly, it was like a blind man seeing the light again. This joy made him want to do it again. Hiding in the altar space, he could see the situation outside clearly. This kind of advantage was best for sneak attacks, and it could be said that he was invincible. It's a pity that I can't control the altar space to move. Gu Qinsha calculated again, and he found another flaw. According to logic, the space formed by the sacrificial heaven talisman was omnipotent, and it wasn't difficult for it to drift through space and time. Looking at it, it should be because it lacked the aura of the emperor, and it couldn't be used more effectively. If he could control the altar to move, then it would be much more convenient. He could even move to the side of experts and suddenly attack. He could even directly pass through their bodies and pierce through them from the inside. Thinking about it, if a person's stomach appeared and Gu Qinsha used sun and moon kill, they would instantly be ripped into pieces. In ancient history books, there were celestials who cultivated to the size manipulation realm. After being swallowed by a flood dragon, the celestial would suddenly grow bigger in its stomach, causing the flood dragon to split into pieces. For the time being, the altar space's function was to hide. Gu Qinsha would come out from wherever he entered the space. But this was enough to make him a fearsome assassin in the world. This was why he decided to stay here and assassinate those demons and barbarians one by one. But if he met the king, he would have to avoid him. That was because the king's cultivation was really terrifying, and he was probably above Tao Realm Transformation 3. Sun and Moon Kill wouldn't be able to do anything to him. And if he used his killing move, he would be killed before he could even think about returning to the altar space. After all, he was just a martial path grandmaster, and being able to kill the bats and Yin-Yang scholar was already his limit. Apart from those evil sect members, there were also barbarian race warriors patrolling outside. Gu Qinsha wasn't interested in these people at all. He just wanted to capture the leader. Besides the Black Killer Bat and Yin-Yang Scholar, there seems to be Taoist 100 Poisons and Cult Master Bloodsoul among the evil cult leaders. They're all great people who have reached the first or second transformation of Tao Realm. If I kill all of them, it's possible that the Berserkers will be defeated and forced to retreat from the 3 counties. But if I kill all of them, I'll attract the attention of the highest authorities. After the barbarian race warriors and evil sect members patrolled, Gu Qinsha took advantage of the fact that they weren't paying attention to head out of the altar space. This time, it was much easier for him. He walked from the corners, and when he heard someone come, he would hide. When he saw someone leave, he would come out. It was even more amazing than invisibility. In just a short while, he got close to the true core of the temple. It was a circular hall, and a cold aura spread out from within. Gu Qinsha didn't dare to get close as he saw a really weird situation. Many bubbles emerged from the main hall, and it didn't disperse. Inside each bubble was a strange medicinal pill. Those medicinal pills rubbed against each other and suddenly burst into raging flames. In the end, they turned into pure medicinal energy and fused with the bubbles before being sucked back. Tao Realm Transformation 6, refining energy into astral energy. No, to be able to cultivate astral energy to such a level, it isn't the 6th transformation, but the 7th transformation, leaving the ground and flying in the air. Gu Qinsha knew that those bubbles were Sciention stellar energy that was emitted from the human body. However, experts of the 6th transformation of the Tao Realm could not retrieve their stellar energy after emitting it. Only those who had reached the 7th transformation could leave the ground and soar into the sky. They could release and release their sciention stellar energy at will and circulate it outside their bodies, lifting them up and allowing them to fly. Leave, this person can't be beaten. He left right away and didn't dare to turn his head. He had no confidence in killing someone at the third transformation, much less someone at the seventh transformation. In Nanshan hunting grounds, he saw Lu Chongxiao use bubbles to wrap up the barbarian race. It wouldn't be surprising if such a person could kill him 100 times in an instant. The gap in realms was too huge, and no matter how lucky he was, he wouldn't be able to win. It was best for him to stay far away. With such a person here, no wonder the third prince didn't dare to send troops to surround him. Luckily, this person was at a crucial moment in his cultivation and didn't have time to worry about him. Otherwise, his sun and moon transformation technique would have been noticed. This person was condensing his own sciention astral energy, using it to wrap up precious herbs. He would rub and burn them, merging the medicinal properties into the astral energy to make it more mystical and lively. Chapter 48. At the Xian Province Imperial Envoy Station, Lu Baiwe heard the news and immediately stood up. This station was built majestically. It was originally a side hall of the Xian Dynasty Palace. This was also where Xian Dynasty's capital city was located. Even though it had experienced the flames of war more than 10 years ago and corpses were everywhere, it was still flourishing like a brocade. Because of the canal, the commerce here was 10 times more prosperous than when Xian Dynasty was at its peak. The entire Xian province bordered the wilderness. Aside from barbarians, there were also countless rare treasures in the wilderness. Many adventurers went to the wilderness to obtain treasures and came here to trade. If they were lucky and made a deal, they could live a wealthy life for the rest of their lives. Yes, the corpses are now in the governor's manor. His Highness is also investigating. Yu Xiang reported. Where is Gu Qinsha? Lu Baiwe asked as she stood up. He is still in Banan province, but not in the provincial capital. He is in a small town not far from Tao County. There are many people living there, so he can't retreat. He is staying there to defend against the barbarians and evil sect members. Yu Xiang had gathered all the information. This guy is compassionate. He dares to put himself in danger. The poor people in the town can't escape and can only choose to defend. But how long can they last? Lu Baiwe shook her head as she walked. Have you found out that he's close to the Xian Dynasty's remnants? No, we have spies in the Xian Dynasty's remnants. The news we received was that Chun Jianfeng personally went to find the 19th prince, but there was no further news. There is not much else because it is difficult for us spies to get close to the core of the Xian Dynasty's remnants. Yu Xiang followed behind and told her all the important information. After walking for the time it took for an incense to burn, Lu Baiwe arrived at the governor's mansion. As soon as he entered, he heard a mocking voice. 10th brother, you brought 1,000 men with you and even asked for the imperial court's horned flood dragon armor and fire talisman spear. You've even cultivated to the Tao realm. You've been here for a few days and you haven't done anything. 19 brother has already killed the Black Bat Demon and Yin Yang Scholar. Damn it. 3rd prince, are you trying to anger me on purpose? 10th prince Gu Jinsha's roar shook the palace. In that case, I will do something earth-shattering for you. Old 10 is here too? What are you arguing about? Lu Baiwe walked in and saw Yin Yang Scholar's corpse lying on the wooden board. When the 10th prince, Gu Jinsha, saw Lu Baiwe entering, he instantly quietened down. His eyes were filled with a heavy expression. He already knew that Lu Baiwe had the token of as if the emperor himself is here. Taking it out was equivalent to the words of the heavenly talisman immortal emperor. No matter how arrogant he was, he could only kneel and obey. He didn't understand why the heavenly talisman emperor trusted Lu Baiwe so much. Of course, he also knew that Lu Baiwe was truly loyal to the heavenly talisman emperor. The heavenly talisman emperor doted on her even more than the princes. Baiwe, take a look. This is Yin Yang Scholar, Tao Realm Transformation 2. He was actually killed by Old 19. Third Prince Gufan Shah smiled. The corpse will be sent back to the capital. You can take a look. It is indeed Yin-Yang scholar. This Yin-Yang technique is also authentic. This demon is at least 90 years old. He is actually still so young and relies on this technique to maintain his life. Lu Baiwe checked it carefully and confirmed. I will write a secret report to the Emperor. All you have to report it as it is. Of course, I don't dare to lie to the Emperor. Third Prince Gufan Shah retracted his smile. Black demon bad. Yin-Yang scholar. These old demons are really strong and they cause trouble everywhere. Normal provincial governors can't block them and are about to be assassinated. Now that 2 of them are dead, it saved me a lot of trouble. Old 10, according to my intelligence, there are still a few old demons in the 3 counties, such as the 100 Poisons Taoist and the Blood Soul Sect Master. I'll leave these 2 to you. Their cultivation is only at the 1 or 2 transformations. With your cultivation, you can definitely kill them. I know that you have cultivated a special technique. 10th Prince Gujin Shah's gaze turned sharp and he laughed coldly. As expected, after news of me reaching Dao realm spread out, the 4 of them started to pay attention to me. Unfortunately, I have the witch path behind me, and I cultivate the ancestor witch scripture. Even if I only comprehend a tiny bit of it, I am far from what all of you can compare to. 10th bro, I know you want to be crowned king, Lu Baiwe said casually. But this is your chance to prove yourself. Furthermore, His Majesty's campaign is a test for all of the princes. Whoever contributes the most will be rewarded with a 9 reincarnation immortal pill. From the looks of it, 19th bro has contributed the most. So what if I killed 2 old demons? Gujin Shah turned around and left. I will take barbarian race messenger Kokata's head. I know that the reason why the 3 counties are in such a mess is because of him. He has reached the 7th transformation of Dao realm and is able to leave the ground and fly into the sky. This is why third brother is so worried. Looking at Gujin Shah's back view, third Prince Gufan Shah said to Lu Baiwe, Old 10 looks crude, but he is actually really cunning and cunning. We can't underestimate him. Lu Baiwe frowned. 10th brother has indeed cultivated a mystical art. From him, I can feel natural selection, survival of the fittest, and the law of the jungle. There is no etiquette, no benevolence, and no morality. It's the aura of the primitive and ancient times. That is the lost Tao. The past is the past. The era doesn't belong to him. Third Prince Gufan Shah's words were filled with deep meaning. Within the town, sword shadows flew about. Gujin Shah fought 1 against 5, but he was still able to do so with ease. He used a normal sword to fight against 5 ancient swords that could slice through metal like mud. 5 seasons flowers bloom, long summer season. Suddenly, the 5 of them used their combined sword energy. It was really eye-catching, like there was a spring rain, summer thunder, scorching sun, autumn frost, winter snow, and ice. The ancient 5 seasons Tao attacked. The sword formation was really sharp, and the area around was filled with cracks caused by the swords slicing through the air. The sword demon in Gujin Shah's hand disappeared and then appeared once more. It brought with it a majestic aura and struck in the air. This strike seemed to be filled with all sorts of changes. It was like it was high up in the sky, adjusting the weather and making things right. The sword technique had reached the end of the sky, the end of space, and the end of one's thoughts. Dang, 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 dang. 5 sounds rang out, and the 5 swords all fell to the ground. 19th Highness is really skilled. He used a normal sword to break our 5-season sword formation. Lu Yu picked up the sword from the ground and thought back to the battle. Gujin Shah walked out of the Peach County God Temple and returned to the town to think of a way to protect the 10,000 civilians. At the same time, he raised the skills of the 5 of them. That was the only thing he could do at the moment. It would be good if he could improve his skills by staying here. The 5 of them were Lu Yu, Imo Chao, Jiao Yang, Qian Zhen, and Zhou. Gujin Shah killed the Yin-Yang scholar and took the money and elixirs from the treasury. It was a huge blow to the barbarians' morale. The key was that the barbarians did not know how they died and would definitely investigate. They were anxious and would not attack for a while. Gujansha could use this time to think of a way to resolve the situation. The 5 of them had a fortuitous encounter and would probably have some luck in the future. If they were discovered by other rich and noble families, they would try their best to recruit them. Gujansha naturally put in more effort. After taking the heavenly dew, you have cleared your meridians and cultivated your vitality. It is equivalent to 10 years of hard work. You will be able to step into the realm of martial arts masters in the future. However, the strange thing is that there are no impurities in your bodies. They are as pure as jade. What is going on? Gujansha found many strange things about the 5 of them. When the 5 of us came across the 5-season sword technique during our exploration, we were cleansed by the strange power left behind by the inheritor. Moreover, our 5 ancient swords also have the ability to absorb the impurities in our bodies and breathe in and out spiritual energy. Liu did not hide anything. The inheritor said that if we cultivate to an extremely high realm, these 5 ancient swords can even merge with our bodies and become immortal flying swords. Is that so? Gujansha frowned. Can I take a look? 19th Master, please take a look. Liu Yu passed the sword over. The moment Gujansha held the sword, he felt a weak airflow from the sword seeping into his pores. It circulated up and down before flowing into the body of the sword. The 2 of them formed a subtle cycle. The person nurtured the sword, and the sword nurtured the person. At a glance, this sword has an ancient style and is unusually sharp. There is nothing special about it, but after holding it, I feel that it is different. There seems to be talismans surging in the body of the sword. It can absorb a person's vitality and give it back to them. Both sides can benefit from it. How magical! Gujansha observed it for a while and returned the sword to Liu Yu. Do you feel that the sword is becoming more and more agile recently? 19th Master, how did you know? Liu was very surprised. That's right. You have consumed the heavenly dew recently, so the vitality in your body is rich. When you practice, the vitality will be channeled into the sword, nourishing the sword. At the same time, the sword will also channel sword energy into your body, nourishing each other. It is like a man playing with a beautiful jade. The man will nourish the jade, and the jade will nourish the man. This sword is really magical. It can strengthen one's physical strength. Ordinary people would be tired after practicing for a few hours and would need a rest. However, if you use this sword to practice, you won't feel tired even if you practice for a few days and nights. Instead, you will become more and more energetic. Of course, you will have enough spiritual medicine. Gujansha thought for a while. It seems that you will have great achievements in the future. If that is the case, I will help you. From today onwards, increase the intensity of your sword practice. I will give each of you 3 drops of heavenly dew. 3 drops of heavenly dew could allow a martial down master to practice martial arts every day without eating or drinking for a year. Thank you, 19th Master. The 5 of them knelt down again. They were very smart and knew what this meant. If 1 drop of heavenly dew was converted into money, it would probably be worth more than the entire town. Remember, the more vitality you have, the sharper the sword will be. All 5 of your swords are divine weapons, so they need to be nourished by human vitality. In the future, the power of your swords will probably be even greater. Gujansha warned them seriously. He took out the heavenly dew and poured 3 drops for each of them. You actually have heavenly dew. A woman's voice was heard, and another person appeared in the courtyard. Liu Yu and the others were shocked and raised their swords to defend themselves. Chapter 49. You used the god Maha Pill? You broke through to the second transformation? Gujansha asked. How did you find this place? Not bad. I used a secret technique to worship the dragon god and ocean god to get rid of the evil god's demonic nature. After consuming it, my cultivation increased greatly. Long Yun looked at the heaven dew in envy. If you had heaven dew, Then I would have been able to use it to neutralize the evil energy in the god Maha pill and absorb it perfectly. I wouldn't have wasted most of the medicinal effects, and I would have even been able to reach the third transformation. Heaven Dew's biggest use was to wash away all impurities, detoxify all poisons, and remove the demonic nature. Anyone who was poisoned or went into a frenzy would see the effects immediately. Her expression was one of pain. I didn't have Heaven Dew then. Guchen Shah had always felt that Long Yuyun was very mysterious, so he was very wary of her and would not reveal anything. But if you want it, we can make a deal. What do you want? Long Yuyun asked. If you can gather experts to defend this town, I can give you a drop of Heaven Dew. Guchen Shah thought about it. Forget it. I came here to tell you that more barbarian race experts have rushed over and are prepared to take down Banan province. Your town will be destroyed tomorrow, and it won't be able to block them. I think you should leave immediately. Long Yuyun's voice was really anxious. Staying here is like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Then, what about the tens of thousands of civilians here? Moreover, during these few days, the survivors from the surrounding villages have all surged into the town. There are more and more people, and we can't even leave. Gu Chunsha shook his head. Where there is life, there is hope. Long Yuyun scolded. Do you really think that you are a savior? The third prince, Lu Baiwe, and even the 10th prince are here, but they aren't doing anything. Even Ba Nan province isn't helping. They all have their own plans. Besides, from a military standpoint, this town isn't good for defense. I knew that this town couldn't be defended, but I didn't have a better idea. Besides, there are some things that you can only do even if you know it's impossible. Gu Chench's expression did not change at all, as if he had made up his mind. Looks like you can't be the emperor. Your vision is too narrow. Long Yuyun was helpless. I didn't want to be the emperor in the first place. I'm now training my martial arts, facing difficulties and going against the tide. Otherwise, how could he break through to the Tao realm? Since our goals are different, our methods will naturally be different. Gu Chensha was very calm. That's true. For martial artists, the first thing to do in such a difficult situation is to not lose confidence. Once you get through it, your realm will definitely improve. Long Yuyun could understand this point. Then, do you want to stay and assist me? No, I have more important matters to attend to. If I am in danger, the soldiers and civilians of Dragon Sword Island behind me will have no hope. Long Yuyun pondered for a moment before saying, How about this? Give me 10 drops of heavenly dew, and I'll exchange it for a treasure. What treasure? Gu Chensha asked. Sea-splitting thunderbolt seed. A blue ball appeared in her palm. It was the size of an egg. This is something that can only be formed on the ocean god temple tree after hundreds of years. What is its use? Can it raise one's strength? Gu Chensha was confused. It shouldn't be able to raise me to the Tao realm, right? No, this isn't medicine. It's an explosive. Long Yuyun's words made Gu Chensha take a few steps back. Sea-splitting thunderbolt seed is used to die together with the enemy. When the ocean god temple is attacked, it can't be saved. To prevent the enemy from blaspheming the god spirit after taking over the temple, this thing will be activated. The entire temple and the outside will be turned to dust. Of course, you will be in the explosion range, and you will definitely die. This is because you have to personally hold it and drip blood on it. Then, you chant the ocean god curse and communicate with your soul. This means that once you activate it, you will definitely die. If I activate it now, the entire town will be gone. Even the houses will be turned to dust. Is so strong? Gu Chensha didn't dare to believe that such an egg-sized thing could flatten the entire town. I can't let you test it out, but if you're within 100 paces of the center of the explosion, unless you've cultivated the glazed jade body, you'll definitely die. Long Yuyun handed it to Gu Chensha. This is something that can be used to take you down with yourself. If this thing activates, not only me, but everyone around will die. The explosion range is too huge and is hard to avoid being swept in. Gu Chensha had an idea. If I activate the explosion and enter the altar space, then won't I be blown to death? When he thought about this, his heart jumped and he couldn't suppress his excitement. If I go to Peach County and get close to the barbarian race god envoy, Activate the explosion and then hide. Will I be able to destroy the entire temple and even the barbarian race god envoy who reached Tao Realm Transformation 7? But there was a downside. That barbarian race god envoy was too strong and could sense danger. The moment he activated it, it would be snatched away and he would end up losing everything. It won't be a loss to control this thing. 10 drops of heaven do for it. Gu Chunsha and Long Yuyun traded. Since he had this, Gu Chunsha felt like he could explore the temple once more. After all, he had gained a lot last time. If he could steal more of the barbarian race's riches and resources, he would be able to deal a heavy blow to the enemy's morale. At the same time, he would be able to increase his own savings. Right, I have something that I don't know how to use. Gu Chunsha walked into the room and acted like he was taking something out. He took out the 18 flags from the altar space for Long Yuyun to see. He wasn't familiar with formations and treasures, but Long Yuyun was knowledgeable and definitely knew how to use them. This is a spirit-gathering artifact. Long Yuyun's eyes popped out. Prince Gu's Sky Dragon Spirit-Gathering Flag? How did you get it? Prince Gu? You know that Prince of the Great Way Dynasty? He's come into contact with you and tried to recruit you? Gu Chunsha immediately heard the secret from Long Yuyun's words. Of course, I even came into contact with the envoy he sent a few days ago. Not only that, I was conferred the title of Earl. At the same time, I heard a lot of news from the people who were recruited from overseas. The Great Way Dynasty has put in a lot of effort this time. Long Yuyun didn't hide anything. The times are chaotic. If you can rely on a powerful force, you can protect yourself and escape the calamity. The Great Way Dynasty conferred titles randomly and wasted the country's luck. Gu Chunsha snorted. Titles are a name and cannot be given lightly. Once they are given lightly, the country's prestige will be greatly damaged, and the country will no longer be a country. I think the Great Way Dynasty's arbitrary conferring of titles is just a name. They want you to work, fight to the death for them, and get rid of you after the deed is done. Of course I know that, so I don't trust them. Long Yuyun had a crafty look in her eyes. Speaking of which, Prince Gu is strong and has reached the 4th transformation, Swallow Gold and Turn Stone. He is trying to reach the 5th transformation, and this transformation requires a large amount of spiritual energy. So he brought 18 Sky Dragon Spirit Gathering Flags from the Great Way Dynasty. These flags are made from dragon tendons and soaked in tens of thousands of spiritual herbs. There are numerous runes carved on them, and they have to be refined in a furnace for 100 years. At least 3 generations of blacksmiths can succeed. Only a giant like the Great Way Dynasty can have such an artifact. If it is placed on the ground, it can absorb and spit spiritual energy, turning it into spiritual liquid in the center. These 18 flags are equivalent to 18 Tao Realm experts absorbing and spitting spiritual energy day and night. Although this spiritual liquid is far from the sky dew, it is more than enough to nurture normal people. If I help you build a support formation in your residence, it is equivalent to 36 Tao Realm experts absorbing and spitting spiritual energy. Support formation. Gu Chunsha thought back to the spirit gathering formation in the God Temple. He knew that the spirit gathering formation couldn't turn spiritual energy into spiritual liquid. At most, it could build a large garden. When one cultivated in the garden, their mind would be clear, their body would feel refreshed, and their aura would be peaceful. If they left the garden, they would enter the mortal world. As for the spiritual liquid, it could be used at any time to cleanse one's meridians, strengthen one's stamina, and refine one's flesh. In the manners of many nobles in the capital, they spent huge amounts of money to build a spirit gathering formation, but none of them could turn spiritual energy into liquid. The key was that when Tao Realm experts absorbed spiritual energy into their bodies, they couldn't spit it out and turn it into spiritual liquid. This was why even if you raised a Tao Realm expert, he would at most be a fighter and wouldn't be able to help you raise your cultivation. The Sky Dragon Spirit Gathering Flags actually have such an effect. Luckily, I didn't destroy it. Gu Chunsha was delighted. This is a priceless treasure. Of course, it's a priceless treasure. If a grand family had such a flag, they would be able to raise many experts in a few decades. Even a pig could become a martial master in 10 years if it consumed spiritual liquid every day. This is the Great Way dynasty's equivalent to the Emperor's command flag. Every time an imperial envoy has an important matter, such as rewarding or killing an official, he has to bring this flag out. After the matter is over, he has to return the flag. Long Yun also coveted the 18 Sky Dragon Spirit Gathering flags, but she knew that Gu Chansha was building up his power, so it was perfect for him to have it. I see. Gu Chansha nodded and handed the 18 flags to Long Yun. Since that's the case, bring these flags to my mansion and give them to my adopted son. At the same time, I'll give you 5 drops of heavenly dew for him to consume. I hope that by the time I return, his martial arts will have improved greatly and he will be able to reach the martial master realm. With the spiritual liquid, I can train someone to become a martial master, let alone the heavenly dew. Long Yun snatched the flag as if she was trying to snatch it. Suddenly, her gaze shifted. Aren't you afraid that I'll run after getting it? It's okay. Do you know how I killed Yin Yang Scholar? His cultivation was the same as yours. And this thing was in Prince Gu's hands. What kind of martial arts did he have? I stole it. Gu Chansha waved his hand. What kind of fortuitous encounter have you had recently? Long Yun couldn't understand. Not long ago, you needed me to deal with the black demon bat, and it took me a lot of effort to kill it. How did you improve so much in just 10 days? Chapter 50. Long Yun waved her hand, and the sparrowhawk landed on her shoulder. It looked at the crowd coldly, as if it was a proud and aloof expert. The slightest movement of its feathers was like the clanging of a sword, extremely mighty. This is a blue-winged sea rock. Gu Chansha was slightly shocked. This bird is extremely intelligent and is an ancient species. It has the strength to tear sharks apart, and it feeds on ferocious beasts in the sea. Only the ancient immortals tamed it to guard their homes, and you have one too. Our Dragon Sword Island's direct descendants have the bloodline of the dragon god and the sea god. As long as you feed this bird with your blood, it will be reborn, and it will be completely loyal to you. Long Yun patted the blue-winged sea rock. This is a young bird. When it grows up, it will be as big as a house. It can easily grab a giant shark and fly into the sky. Ga. The blue-winged sea rock made a sound in bird language. Long Yun listened attentively, and suddenly, her expression changed. What happened? Gu Chansha felt that something was wrong. The evil cult barbarian army of the 3 counties has been mobilized, and they are cooperating with experts. They are going to conquer Banan province, and all the people in the province will be sacrificed to the evil god to gain more power. Long Yun looked around. This town can't be saved, and it will turn into ashes in half a day. The barbarians and the evil spirits will not let go of this thorn in their eyes. Moreover, this is the only way to Banan province, and the army will pass through here. What? Lu Yu and the rest heard this, and their faces turned pale. Doesn't that mean that the town can't be saved? Don't worry, don't panic, and act now. Gu Chansha immediately ordered. Inform the mayor and the people in charge. Let the old, weak, sick, children, and women leave first, and leave the young and strong. Those who know martial arts will stay here to resist the army and buy time. If we don't delay them, they won't be able to escape. You want to resist the evil cult barbarian army with so few people. Long Yun shook her head. I'll leave first. You guys think of a way. Whoosh! Her body swayed, and she leaped away. The blue-winged sea rock soared into the sky to monitor the ground and analyze the information. Dragon Sword Island is really rich. I'm afraid it will take me decades to build all of this. Gu Chansha knew that Long Yun would preserve her strength and would not take the risk, which was understandable. Everyone in the town began to panic. Under the leadership of the mayor and some influential families, they began to flee with their families. Some people refused to leave and insisted on staying in the town. unless it was a critical moment, who would give up their family treasures and the family businesses that had been built by their ancestors and run away. However, Guqin Shah could only do so much. He asked Liu Yu and the other four to lead the strong Yus to set up defenses and fortifications. At the same time, weapons, bows, and arrows were placed in position. Then, they left the town and headed towards the main road of Peach County. Long and the army of they could, and after advancing for about 100 miles along the main road, a murderous aura filled the air in front of him. Flags fluttered in the wind. Sure enough, there was an army advancing. He could even hear the sound of hooves. Cavalry? Where did the horses come from? Guqin Shah leaped up a small hill and looked into the distance. He discovered that there was indeed a large army moving on the road. At the very front were all cavalry. There were strong barbarian horses and barbarians wearing leather armor. They were equipped with long swords and bows. He even saw some cavalrymen equipped with guns. Of course, they were not talisman spears, but ordinary guns. But it was still very terrifying. The barbarians only used sabers and bows because they did not have the skill to make guns. Where did so many barbarian soldiers come from? Did something happen to Marquis Jiushi? He is guarding the Great Stone Wall and resisting the barbarians. It is understandable that a few experts came in, but how could an army come in? Also, how did they get their hands on these guns? Could it be that there are spies in our court who secretly sold the guns to the barbarians? This is a crime punishable by the execution of 9 generations. Guqin Shah could not understand. How did this barbarian army come in? The Great Stone Wall was at least 10,000 li long, and it was guarded by a great army. There were cannons in great numbers, and it was impossible for such a large barbarian army to march in. It was one thing for evil cults to cause trouble, but the barbarian army was different. They were well-trained and had fought against many ferocious beasts in the wilderness all year round. They had rich combat experience, and most importantly, their bodies were strong and powerful. In terms of martial arts and physical strength, ordinary people were no match for them. This was the weakness of many countries compared to the barbarians in the past. In the same small team of 100 people, the barbarian soldiers could kill thousands of young and strong commoners. Originally, Guqin Shah thought that it was evil cults, so the pressure would be less. But the barbarian soldiers and cavalry at that was a nightmare. Barbarian horses were tall and strong, full of physical strength and wild nature. They were the rulers of the battlefield, and even the armies of the great Yonko could not resist them. That was why the Great Stone Wall was built to defend against the omnipresent cavalry. The cavalry was very mobile. They could rob here today and appear 1,000 li away tomorrow. It was impossible to catch them. If the barbarian cavalry appeared, the tens of thousands of commoners in the town would be caught even if they tried to escape. The most terrifying thing about the barbarian cavalry was that they did not need to replenish themselves. Wherever they went, they would kill people and sacrifice them to the evil gods. This way, they could obtain evil power, and even if they did not eat or drink for a few days, they would still be full of vitality. Moreover, the more people they killed and sacrificed, the stronger the barbarians and horses became. That was why, since ancient times, the barbarians had been desperately invading. This was all because of the evil gods. There was no training faster than killing people and sacrificing them. This was the barbarian cavalry vanguard. There were 3,000 to 5,000 of them, and they were definitely an army. In ancient times, 3,000 to 5,000 barbarian cavalry could destroy country. I have to stop them. If they catch up, the tens of thousands of people in the town will be slaughtered in an hour. Guqin Shah was anxious. Whoosh! He ran down the mountain and hid in the bushes by the side of the road, without a sound. The cavalry galloped over, and when they were halfway, he suddenly attacked. Gale blows snow. His first move was a group battle move. It was of the Great Spirit God's fist technique, which was specially used to kill many people on the battlefield. Once the saber moved, it was extremely powerful. It was like a gale blowing up snowflakes. The vast heaven and earth were filled with saber aura. When cultivated to the extreme, one could even use the saber to tear the air in a few steps, creating acquired upstanding chi to kill. The cavalry was cut in half at the waist. 7 or 8 cavalrymen and horses were cut in half. In an instant, people and horses were in a mess. He used the embryonic form of the demon conquering blade. This was originally a saber, but not a saber, like a sword but not a sword. It was suitable for all saber and sword martial arts. After killing 7 or 8 cavalrymen, 7 or 8 blood-colored spheres appeared in the space of the sacrificial altar, waiting for the sacrifice to turn them into heavenly dew. The barbarians had always believed in the evil gods and destroyed the order of the heavenly Tao, but they were not tolerated by the rules of the heavenly Tao. Killing them was even better than killing evil people. In ancient times, heaven and earth were protected by the righteous gods and the ancient emperors. If one compared heaven and earth to a human body, then the evil gods would be the poison in the body, constantly corroding the health of the heavenly Tao. Enemy attack. The barbarian cavalry spread out and shouted in barbarian language. An empty space appeared in the middle of the road. Such reaction speed was just terrifying. The moment the barbarian cavalry spread out, the barbarian cavalry archers outside had already pulled their bows. The arrows were like a chain of locusts that could pierce through iron armor. The barbarian cavalry archers were all godly archers. Their arm strength was really strong, and they used strong bows. Their piercing power could even pierce through rocks, leaving only feathers behind. They could even shoot many arrows, and each arrow would hit a fly. They didn't rely on their eyes to shoot arrows, but on their senses. The sound of the arrows tearing through the air rang out. The arrow rain covered the area, and there were no blind spots at all. Even if one was at the first or second transformation of the Tao realm, he would definitely die if he was surrounded by thousands of barbarian cavalry archers. Amazing. It is tough for me to deal with such an army alone, but it won't be so easy for them to kill me. Guchinch's body spun like a spinning top. His weapon danced, and all the arrows were deflected. He was like a tornado that pounced forwards. His speed was even faster than the barbarian horses, and he charged into the cavalry group. Instantly, a storm of blood swept up, and 4 to 5 cavalry were killed by him. The cavalrymen and horses were all wearing leather armor that was specially made from the skin of wild beasts. It was tougher than iron armor, and it was also very light. Even a sharp sword would only leave a slight scratch on it. However, the prototype of the demon subduing blade in Guchinch's hand was unbelievably sharp. It cut through their armor like tofu. If he relied on his fists, it would be much more difficult to kill these cavalry. Guchincha once again understood the importance of weapons. Ayo! An expert roared, and a strong wind surged over. A long spear was like a poisonous dragon shuttling back and forth, drilling in from a tricky and strange angle. The spear's momentum was extremely fast, but it was soundless. The ingenious use of force was breathtaking. Guchincha sensed danger. He slashed with the blade in his hand and wanted to split the spear in half. However, the long spear seemed to have a mind of its own. It drew a curve before coming into contact with the weapon. It was like mist and clouds, and it actually avoided the weapon. It transformed into specks of cold stars and pierced into the major acupoints on Guchinch's body. This spear technique has reached the peak. He is a barbarian race grandmaster. Normally, I would be able to kill him, but in the middle of an army, it will be tough. Guchinch's mind raced. He leaped up and used the blade technique, Storm of the 8 Directions. This was also a blade technique from the Great Spirit God technique. It was good at both offense and defense, and was good at dealing with group battles. At that moment, the spear and many of the arrows that were shot at him were all struck down. What he hated the most were the archers. Almost none of their arrows missed their target. Their speed was fast, and they kept coming at him, sealing off all his escape routes. He could only fight in a narrow space. It seemed like the barbarian army had enough experience in dealing with experts. The barbarians were indeed the best in riding and archery. They had dominated the world for thousands of years, and it was not without reason that they had defeated countless dynasties and countries. Up until now, he had only killed 13 cavalry and was surrounded. Looking around, he saw the barbarian army everywhere, which made him feel despair. This was the first time he fought against an army alone. He finally understood why the great Yonko could use an army to destroy so many sections. Chapter 51. He took a deep breath and increased his strength by another 30%. His speed increased even more, and his whole body was like a stream of light. He rushed into the cavalry again, and his saber technique became a line that condensed into one. It did not spread out, but instead attacked in a straight line. Immediately, 3 barbarian cavalrymen and their horses were cut in half by him, and he was just about to rush out of the encirclement. But at this moment, the long spear that looked like a poisonous dragon appeared behind him again. It was like a maggot in the tarsal bone, and he could not get rid of it. It locked onto the Mingmen acupoint on his back. This time, Gu Chansha saw clearly that the person who used the long spear was a barbarian general. His face was covered in tattoos, and he could not see his face at all. However, his skin was bronze, and he did not wear armor. Instead, he wore animal skin. He was very wild, but he was good at hiding, like a lion hiding in the grass, ready to pounce on an antelope at any time. This barbarian general was a martial arts master, and he was much more powerful than the average Wuzong. The key was that he was surrounded by many archers, and there were also barbarian saber and spear cavalry blocking him. If he failed, he would retreat into the cavalry, and there was nothing he could do. When Gu Chansha killed the other cavalry, he would rush out at the critical moment to deal a fatal blow. This can't go on. I can't jump over the cavalry's heads either. I can't use force in the air, and I can't use it well. I can easily be shot to death by the archers. Gu Chansha dodged the long spear attack and was about to kill the barbarian general, but he found that he had retreated into the depths of the army again and could not be found. If it was a one-on-one battle, it would only take him 2 breaths to kill this barbarian martial Dao grandmaster. However, he was surrounded by spears, arrows, and sabers. He was surrounded like an iron bucket, and it was difficult for him to use any of his abilities. Kacha! 7 or 8 long spears came stabbing over. Gu Chansha waved his weapon and cut these long spears in half. Just as he was about to kill more people, the outer layer of arrows shot toward him again. Dozens of arrows drilled into his body in a spiral, trying to turn him into a hedgehog. He could only wave his weapon again and block all these arrows. But just as he blocked the arrow, a new group of spearmen came up and stabbed at him with their spears, not giving him any chance to react. He wanted to kill his way out, but he was greatly restricted. At the same time, he was also afraid of being ambushed by the hidden experts while he was entangled with the soldiers. So he didn't dare to use his full strength. Leverage the force to strike back. This time, Gu Chansha learned his lesson. When those spear soldiers stabbed towards him, he did not break their spears, but used his weapon to deflect them. The ingenuity of the use of force had already added the skill of the sun and moon transformation. The sun and moon transformations also involved the transformation of strength. With just a little bit of use, one could borrow strength to fight strength, rebounding the strength of an enemy's attack. Bang, 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 bang. Just as these spears were about to pierce him, they were lightly flicked by Gu Chansha, and all of them shot back with a fierce whistling sound, directly smashing their owners' heads. A gap appeared in the formation that was gradually forming. At this moment, more than 10 arrows shot towards him. His weapon formed a circle, and he used the sun and moon transformation's force conversion technique again. Instantly, the arrows stuck to his weapon. His body spun, and the arrows stuck to his weapon shot back at an even faster speed. The barbarian soldiers with arrows were shot one after another, and they were thrown off their horses. This time, the formation started to become chaotic. Gu Chansha saw an opportunity and rushed forward again. His weapon was like cutting grass, and he killed 7 barbarian soldiers. He was about to break out of the encirclement. At this moment, the barbarian tribe martial arts master hidden among the soldiers could not hold back anymore, and his spear drilled out again. Oomph. This was the moment that Gu Chansha had been waiting for. His body stopped abruptly, and he rushed towards the barbarian tribe martial arts master. The weapon in his hand was like a silkworm spitting out silk, and he used the sun and moon transformation technique again. Buzz. The moment the barbarian tribe martial arts master's spear came into contact with the weapon, he felt as though it weighed 1,000 pounds. He was completely wrapped up, and he could not even lift it up. Immediately, he let out a loud roar and actually gave up on the spear. He wanted to enter the group of barbarian soldiers again to dodge. However, the spear had been wrapped and pressed by Gu Chansha, and it became extremely agile. It turned around and fiercely pierced into the barbarian tribe martial arts master's heart. The barbarian tribe martial arts master was directly nailed to the ground. After rebounding the spear and arrows and killing the martial arts master, Gu Chansha felt that his use of the sun and moon transformation technique had reached a new level. His martial arts cultivation was restless, and all sorts of exquisite aspects came easily to him. Originally, he only had a superficial understanding of the sun and moon refining technique and the sun and moon transformation technique. However, after this battle, he had a new understanding. This kind of understanding would be of great help to him when he stepped into the Tao state in the future. The moment the barbarian tribe martial arts master died, the pressure on Gu Chansha was greatly reduced. He charged out once more, and it was like a tiger entering a herd of sheep. All the spears and arrows that stabbed at him were reflected back, and the blades that stabbed at him or those around him were reflected back. The intricacies of the sun and moon transformation technique were displayed. Any attack that reached him would change according to the situation, and he would use his strength to deflect the attacks like a rubber ball. In just a few breaths, 45 cavalry had died at his hands. The entire barbarian race army was like a long snake on the road, ready to swallow everything along the way. However, they were all cut in half by him, causing a huge storm. Logically speaking, only someone at the third transformation of the Tao realm, copper skin and iron bones, would have the courage to do such a dangerous thing in the army. Kill. The various generals of the barbarian race army at the front and back also realized that something had happened here, and they instantly gave orders. Woo 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 woo, a desolate bugle horn sounded out. Immediately, the cavalry surrounding Gu Chansha started to retreat, and the circle was widened. The art of war has started to change. You want to expand your encirclement and then set up defenses to trap me? How can it be so easy? I will just mess up your formation. Gu Chansha already knew what these barbarian soldiers were thinking. He was also familiar with military books, so he knew how terrifying the art of war and military formations were. Layers upon layers of blockades, with a huge shield on the outside and arrows and muskets shooting wildly from the back. The musket cavalry all moved away. Some infantrymen picked up their shields and charged in, thinking the same way as him. He couldn't let the barbarian race soldiers surround him. He was like a bird flying into the forest, running so fast that he was about to fly. His weapon spun at high speeds like a drill, piercing through the shield-wielding barbarian race soldiers and charging into the camp once more. His body rose up and down. The vital energy in his body was the sun and moon refinement technique, and the strength outside his body was the sun and moon transformation technique. Inside and outside merged into one, and his martial path was perfect and flawless. At that moment, he seemed to have entered another realm, and he had a clear grasp of the entire battlefield. Each spear that stabbed at him, each arrow that shot at him, each blade that slashed at him, all of them were calculated in his mind. He then came up with the best countermeasure to allow him to kill them quickly and also protect himself at the same time. His martial arts had a sense of finesse to it. This was the path one had to take to reach the Tao realm. His weapon spun and flew about. Each time he waved, he would claim the life of a barbarian race soldier. Between the clashes, from start to finish, 100 barbarian race soldiers had died in his hands. These barbarian race soldiers were all elites, and each of them was really strong, much stronger than normal soldiers. It was obvious that they had committed many sins and killed many commoners to obtain their power. He didn't pity the barbarian race at all. He had to wipe them out. There are thousands of barbarian race soldiers here, and I have killed 100. This has greatly slowed down their attacks, but the true experts are about to appear. The barbarian race is really determined, so they definitely won't send out just a few thousand. But I can at most kill 300 before I run out of stamina and need a rest. Gu Chunsha sensed that he had used up a lot of stamina. The constant battles and calculations on the battlefield were a huge burden on him. It was impossible for him to wipe out thousands of soldiers alone. Tao Realm Transformation, 3 copper skin and iron bones would also run out of stamina unless he improved further. At Tao Realm Transformation 4, he would be able to swallow gold and turn into stone. His organs would also be strong, and he would be able to melt gold and stone. At that time, he would be able to fight for days and nights, and it would be possible for him to kill thousands of soldiers. Suddenly, a long roar spread out from afar. It was filled with a deep, evil energy, and it got closer. The barbarian race soldiers scattered. A shadow dashed over, and in the blink of an eye, he was in the middle of the formation. He raised his hand slightly, and a pungent wind surged towards his face. A few barbarian race soldiers in the distance fainted. Their bodies turned into blood, and even their bones melted. Poison. Gu Qinsha saw that the newcomer was an old man dressed in a Taoist robe. He exuded a sinister aura, and his body was shrouded in a hazy mist. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the 100 Poison Taoist. This person cultivates the scripture of the Poison King, and his entire body is filled with poison. He's the hardest to deal with, but he's just unlucky to have met me. I have consumed the Heaven Dew and am immune to all poisons. The Heaven Dew could wash away evil and poison and was a divine antidote. Kid, you are really bold. You actually dare to block the barbarian race army alone. 100 Poison Priest's claws were extremely long, and when he attacked, a blue light flashed. One could smell the stench of blood within 10 steps. Gu Chinch's blade flashed, and he slashed in the air. Star Strike, Skybreak, and Demon Slaying combined the 3 moves. He had already executed the Great Spirit God Technique's Spear Combination Attack, a forbidden technique. With his current stamina, executing the 3 moves wouldn't harm his body at all. Originally, he could have used the annihilation of Sun and Moon all of a sudden to kill Taoist 100 Poisons. However, after using it, all of his meridians would definitely be severed, his skin would bleed, and his bones would be in trouble. He would need to consume the Heavenly Dew again and rest for a few hours before he would recover. His main task now was to delay the advance of the army so that the people in the town could move as soon as possible. Where'd he find the time to heal? However, when these 3 moves of the Great Spirit God Technique were used together to activate the Forbidden Technique, it was extremely powerful. That day on the ship, Gu Chunsha had used it to suddenly injure the Black Demon Bat. Now, his cultivation was much higher than that day, and the weapon in his hand was also much sharper than the spear back then. This strike suddenly seemed to produce a falling star, shattering the void and destroying the demon. Thousands of sharp lights instantly enveloped 100 Poison Priest, cutting him inch by inch. The air waves were like landslides and tsunamis, destroying everything. What kind of martial arts is this? How can you, a master of the mortal realm, use such a forbidden technique? A black iron scepter appeared in 100 Poison Priest's hand, protecting him impenetrably. Only then did he manage to resist Gu Chinch's attack. What a pity. This man's martial arts are indeed powerful. If I had executed the Sun Moon kill just now, he would have been killed by my sword. Gu Chunsha sighed inwardly. He moved his body and struck out 81 times in a row, using the technique of Sun Moon Kill. This move of Sun Moon Kill was not as swift and fierce as the Sun Moon Kill, which could destroy everything. However, it was mellow and exquisite, a wonderful work of art. All the changes were contained in one's heart. The storm-like sword momentum forced 100 Poison Priests to retreat again and again. Chapter 52. However, Gu Qinsha had done it. His sun and moon refining and sun and moon transformation required a strong opponent to hone his skills. Last time, he had to use sun and moon slaughter to end the battle quickly against Yin-Yang Scholar. Now he was mainly stalling for time, fighting with 100 Poison Taoist and killing more barbarian soldiers. 100 Poison Taoist was covered in poisonous gas. If he was lured into the barbarian soldiers, they would also die from the poison. Damn it, this kid's sword skills are really sharp. Although his strength is not as good as mine, it's exquisite and wonderful. Every time I attack, I feel like I can't use my full strength. 100 Poison Taoist was very sullen. He blocked left and right with his pitch-black scepter. He could only block and not fight back. The two of them rolled around and exchanged over 100 moves. Many innocent barbarian soldiers were injured. Gu Qinsha deliberately forced the 100 Poisons Taoist into the crowd of soldiers. The poisonous gas spread, and in a short while, the number of soldiers poisoned was actually as many as 100. Poison is still the most terrifying. Releasing the poisonous gas, he can easily take down so many soldiers. I've exhausted all my strength and only managed to kill 100. I can't let 100 Poison Taoists live. Otherwise, who knows how many soldiers and civilians will suffer. Gu Qinsha's killing intent rose, and his sword became even sharper. Sun and moon refining and sun and moon transformation became one. Yin and yang alternated, like a lover's entanglement, like the majesty of an army, like the craftiness of a poisonous snake, like the majesty of a thunderstorm, like the majesty of a sage, like the vicissitudes of history. Pucci. 100 Poison Taoist's pitch-black scepter was cut in half, and dozens of bloody marks appeared on his body. Fortunately, his martial arts were profound. He dodged repeatedly and finally escaped the range of the sword aura. Sun and moon refining, the heart as a furnace, creation as the work, all things as copper, the sun and moon transformation, the body as the void, all changes in a single thought. Gu Qinsha was not willing to let him go. His heart was like the sun and moon, roaming the world, controlling yin and yang. He was completely immersed in the profound meaning of martial arts, forgetting himself and the outside world, unleashing all his potential. This time, 100 Poison Taoist was under great pressure. He could not even escape and was about to die under the sword. At this moment, a bloody figure sprang out from the barbarian soldiers. With a swing of his hand, a long whip broke through the layers of sword aura like a blood snake and arrived in front of Gu Qinsha, forcefully blocking his attack. Blood Soul Sect Master. Gu Qinsha awoke from his intoxication with martial arts. He saw the bloody figure in front of him holding a blood-red whip and wearing a bright red robe. Even his eyebrows and hair were the color of blood, and his eyes were shining with a red light. He looked more like a human than a ghost. Without a doubt, he was one of the old devils, the Blood Soul Sect Master. The four cult masters who stirred up trouble in Banan Province were the Black Demon Bat, the Yin-Yang Scholar, the 100 Poisons Taoist, and the Blood Soul Cult Master. 2 of them had died in the hands of Gu Qinsha, and the other 2 were right in front of him. 100 Poisons. How could you be forced into such a state by a junior who hasn't even reached the Tao realm? Even the Black Poison Staff was broken. Catch! The leader of the Blood Soul cult shook his blood-colored whip and blocked Gu Qinsha's attack. He drew a blood-colored saber from his back and threw it to Taoist 100 Poisons. Blood Melting Blade. This blood-melting blade was much larger than the 2 that Gu Qinsha had sacrificed. Its bloody light was dense, and it was unknown how many people had been killed to cultivate it to such a powerful level. With a slight shake, one would hallucinate as if thousands of bloody shadows were wailing on it, wanting to drag one into a bloody hell and never be able to reincarnate. After Taoist 100 Poisons took it, he didn't say a word. He used his blade technique and charged into the battle. He actually joined hands with the Blood Soul Cult Master to attack Gu Qinsha. With 2 Tao Realm transformation, 2 experts attacking, the situation changed. The pressure on Gu Qinsha increased greatly, and it wasn't as easy as before. As the saying went, two fists couldn't fight four hands, much less two old devils who had been famous for at least 60 years. Gu Qinsha turned offense into defense. He was once again immersed in the martial path, and his mind was really sharp. He was like the sun in the sky, able to see everything. He defended himself and fought left and right. The Blood Soul Cult Master and Taoist 100 Poisons were actually unable to do anything to him. Poochie Poochie. He retreated as he fought. He entered the barbarian soldier's circle and took the chance to kill many more. Just like that, from the moment he arrived until now, close to 300 barbarian soldiers had died. He killed more than 100 himself, and when he fought with Taoist 100 Poisons, more than 100 were poisoned to death. Now that he was fighting with the Blood Soul Cult Master and the other two, he didn't want to make any mistakes. He didn't fight head-on with the two of them and instead tried to kill as many barbarian soldiers as he could. This almost shameless method made the Blood Soul Cult Master and Taoist 100 Poisons cry out in anger. Blood Shadow Whip Technique. Vengeful soul seeking life. It was unknown what the Blood Soul Cult Master's whip was made of, but it was really tough. Even the demon Descending Blade couldn't break it. He shook the whip and it spun in the air. Layers of whip shadows formed a circle that was like vengeful souls seeking life. He wanted to trap Gu Qinsha so that he couldn't kill the barbarian soldiers. He knew that if this went on, the two of them wouldn't be able to take care of Gu Qinsha and the barbarian soldiers wouldn't die. Good timing. The demon Descending Blade in Gu Qinsha's hand moved slightly and pointed at the whip shadow. The whip shadow actually moved in the air and swept towards the barbarian soldiers beside him. A few barbarian soldiers were immediately swept up by the whip and thrown into the air. The whip was densely packed with barbs. When it pierced into the barbarian soldier's body, it actually started sucking blood. Just like that, when the barbarian soldier fell to the ground, he was already a dried corpse. All the blood was sucked away by the whip. This whip is so domineering. If I didn't have the demon Descending Blade, I probably wouldn't be able to block it. Gu Qinsha swung his sword again and pointed at Taoist 100 Poison's Molten Blood Blade. The huge Molten Blood Blade actually slashed to the side and killed a few barbarian soldiers. You too. I'm not interested in fighting with you. Let's kill the barbarian soldiers first. Gu Qinsha's body moved once more and he escaped the attack range of the two demons. He stabbed into the barbarian soldiers and killed them viciously. He was like a knife cutting vegetables, killing another 7 or 8 barbarian soldiers. Although 300 barbarian soldiers had died, they didn't panic. They didn't flee in all directions. Instead, they quickly adjusted their formation. The shield bearers lined up in front, the spears at the back, and the cavalry archers at the back. They formed a square formation and wanted to trap Gu Qinsha. Apart from that, within the formation, there were a few barbarian martial arts ancestor auras. Logically speaking, the barbarian Dao realm experts should appear soon. Gu Qinsha viciously pierced through and shattered a few shields. He killed another dozen barbarian soldiers and felt an extremely dangerous aura. The barbarian race had a huge population. There were millions of tribes in the barbarian lands outside the walls. They also had many evil gods backing them up. There was no end to them, and they were enemies of the dynasty. Even Emperor Gu could only defend against them and couldn't wipe them out. With such a huge population, there were many experts. This military operation was also very important. Without Dao realm experts, just a few old demons wouldn't be enough. The barbarian race wouldn't trust these demons who changed faces faster than the flipping of a book. Woo woo woo. The horns sounded in the distance, and the barbarian cavalry scattered like the tide. Clop, clop, clop. The sound of horse hooves reverberated on the ground. A barbarian cavalry appeared in front of them. This cavalry seemed to be an ancient figure from the ancient times. He was 2 times the height of a normal person, and he held a heavenly halberd. The horse he rode was also a primitive mutant. It was twice the size of a normal horse, and was like a giant elephant. When it moved, it gave off a thunderous aura. It had scales on its body and horns on its head. This was not a horse, but a primitive thunder beast. It galloped like lightning and could travel 3,000 miles in a day. It could also climb mountains like it was nothing. It was extremely strong. However, it had a violent personality and basically couldn't be tamed. In the barbarian race, anyone who could tame a thunder beast as a mount was an epic hero. Shwa, that barbaric, giant-like barbarian knight, had already arrived in front of Guchen Shah. The enormous halberd drew an arc in the air, piercing through the sky with the profundity of some law. It completely enveloped every corner in all directions, making it impossible for anyone to escape. Such martial arts are really terrifying. Guchen Shah sensed that this person's cultivation was far above Blood Soul sect leader and Hunter Poison priest. Dang! He struck out with the demon descending blade, but it was useless. He was unable to block the enemy's strength at all. The giant power from the heavenly halberd struck into his body. Pooey! He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. He was defeated by the barbarian cavalry in one move. Too strong. He is definitely at Dao Realm Transformation 3 or even stronger. Even if I use Sun Moon Kill, I won't be able to do anything. The gap is just too huge. Let's go. At this moment, Guchen Shah wouldn't die here. He retreated and used his movement technique to escape. He knew that the barbarian race experts wouldn't allow him to kill 300 barbarian soldiers and escape. They would definitely chase him. This would draw the experts away and create a chance for the people in the town to escape. As expected, the moment he ran, the barbarian cavalry chased. Blood Soul sect leader and 100 poison priest all followed. Rest here and deal with the corpses. Wait for orders. The barbarian cavalry chased Guchen Shah while giving out orders. He was afraid that there would be experts lying in ambush ahead. If he wasn't there, he wouldn't be able to suppress them. If they killed hundreds of people, then they would suffer huge losses. When Guchen Shah heard this order, he was delighted. He knew that he had successfully shocked the barbarian cavalry and was delaying for time. Thinking about it, it made sense. An army that was originally filled with a strong aura suddenly faced a person who killed hundreds of them. It would be weird if they weren't panicking. Calm. The barbarian cavalry jumped into the air from the lightning beast's body. It was like a bolt of lightning striking down from the sky, causing the ground to shake. He had to capture Guchen Shah. This person is much faster than me, so I have to rely on the terrain to shake him off. Guchen Shah almost ran like a madman, activating all of his potential. He chased after the wind and the moon, ascending hills, traversing mountains and ridges. He walked in the opposite direction, trying his best to take the rugged and narrow mountain paths, as well as some thistles and bushes. There were forests on both sides of the road, and the dense forest gave him the best cover. He dove into the depths of the forest and hoped that he could use the forest to block the barbarian cavalry. His body was huge, so it was unavoidable that he would be blocked by the forest. That way, he would be able to win time and play hide and seek. General, should we chase? Don't enter the forest. Blood Soul sect leader and Hunter Poison priest were both experienced people, and when they thought about Guchen's methods, they were a little worried. They spoke in barbarian language. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.